This video continues with Chapter 60 Commander Big Sister. You are more suitable for dancing that kind of motivational dance. Marvel, starting with a tech explosion to create a robot waifu. Chapter 60 Commander Big Sister. You are more suitable for dancing that kind of motivational dance. As Tony Stark stopped dancing, the audience burst into applause and roars. One more, Iron Man another. Dance well, this dance has never been seen before. Is it a brand new dance? Since it was performed by Iron Man, then this dance will be called the pole pipe. No, it's Iron Man. It's the first time I saw Iron Man dancing. It's so interesting. Send it to a circle of friends. Yes, such an interesting thing. I will send one too. The president of the business association is really amazing. It's a surprise to secretly arrange such a session. A group of audience members were talking excitedly. It felt like today's party, just this dance of Iron Man was worth it. Listening to the discussion under the stage, Tony Stark wanted to die, so he could not wait to find a crack to get in. Another one, Iron Dance, what the hell is this? I even sent it to the circle of friends. This is over. I have been wise and now it is all ruined. Damn intruder, I'm going to kill you! Exclamation Tony Stark gritted his teeth. His teeth were itching with anger. The last time he was knocked out of the sky by that woman, he almost died young. This has already dealt a huge blow to his self-esteem, and it's a shame that he's thrown into the house again today. What a party! I don't want to attend, let alone show up. Made! Exclamation destroy it. Now he just wants to get out of here quickly, and then find a place where no one is there, and secretly lick the wound of his soul. Just when Tony Stark was secretly hurt, he didn't know that in the floor-to-ceiling window, the commander's elder sister was already laughing wildly. Because the action is too big, the majestic scenery in front of the chest will make Roar want to come out. Giggle, young master, is this what you call a good show? It's so interesting. What kind of dance is this? It's so funny. Can you teach me? The commander looked at Locke beside him with a smile and said, with beautiful eyes, trying to twist his enchanting figure. Seeing this, Locke's heavy palm hit her bulging hill. A scream of pain and joy rang out, which made people imagined. What are you thinking? You want to dance this kind of dance at such a young age. This kind of dance is not suitable for you, Locke said angrily. Because it is in a beautiful country, basically no one knows about square dancing. Then what kind of dance is suitable for me? The commander looked at Locke with a smile and said curiously, it's definitely the kind of dance that will make me very motivated. So what should I say? Giggle, I think so too. I'll dance to you later when I get home. By the way, 2B and I each offer one, how about it? The commander said with a smile on his face, his beautiful eyebrows raised slightly. I think so too. Locke smiled and nodded with satisfaction. Just then, a waiter knocked on the door softly. After arranging her clothes, the commander's eldest sister put her slender legs back into her black evening dress. Her tenderness, charming and even bohemian, will only bloom in front of Locke alone. When she was away on weekdays, she was still the cold, mature and calm commander of the Yoba unit. Enter. The waiter pushed the door and entered, standing respectfully at the door, not daring to take a step beyond the thunder pond. Master Locke, the president asked us to inform you that in a minute, you need to show your face. Can you see? The tone was respectful and full of temptation. If Locke said no, they would not mind at all. After all, it is their great honor that Locke can come here. Without speaking, Locke nodded. The hippie smiling face that had just flirted with the commander disappeared, replaced by a ruthless look. Okay, I'll go tell Mr. President. The waiter respectfully stepped back and left. It has to be said that the people who can serve this level of party, even the waiters, are carefully selected. In the banquet hall, Tony Stark walked off the stage with a cold face. He didn't really choose to leave. If he left at this time, wouldn't that mean he ran away in shame? This is not what he hoped. although I don't know why. But the dance just now did not seem to have much impact on his image. Instead, he gained a reputation for being funny and cute, and he couldn't help but make girls like him more, which was a blessing in disguise. In addition to this reason, he also wants to know who is this guy who secretly hacked into his artificial intelligence system. He suddenly remembered the mysterious woman who knocked him away a few days ago. At that time, the woman said that he was not worthy of the name of genius, which belonged to her young master. Later, after his investigation, this mysterious woman came from the Rockefeller family that they all need to look up to in the Stark industry. In the Rockefeller family, there happened to be a young master, but that guy was only 14 years old and was in junior high school. So he denied it at the time, but now he can't help but begin to doubt it. Because of the specific knowledge, the 14-year-old boy named Locke is here today. Is it really him? Tony thought suspiciously. At this moment, the organizer of this party, the president of the business association, came to the stage with a very respectful tone. Before the official opening of today's feast, please turn off all camera equipment. Let me be honored to introduce today's special guest, the Rockefeller family, Master Rock! Exclamation! He raised his hand respectfully and made a please gesture towards the floor-to-ceiling window on the second floor. Suddenly, the black floor-to-ceiling windows suddenly changed and became transparent. At the same time, two tall figures appeared in front of everyone. Exclamation! Seeing these two figures, the audience couldn't help but exclaim in admiration, and the audience was shocked. The fifth update. I have 10,000 words, and I still owe 2 more. Let's work together and give me some fuel. Chapter 61. The Iron Overlord appears. The Commander&amp #039's big sister gets angry. Chapter 6. Ask. The Rockefeller family turned out to be the eldest young master of the Rockefeller family. Why did he come? In a party of our level, the president can invite Master Locke. It's really bright. This party didn't come in vain. Not only did I see Iron Man dancing, but I also met Master Locke. Absolutely. Yeah, you must know that the Rockefeller family is extraordinarily protective of Mr. Locke. For so many years, very little news of him has been circulated, and there are not many photos. The Rockefeller family controls 80% of our nation's news media. As long as it's news that they don't want to spread, it can be blocked in an instant, and seeing a few photos has already given us a lot of face. That's right. By the way, who is the female companion beside Master Locke? It's really amazing. The two of them standing together are so talented. Master Locke is only 14 years old. There is such a beautiful woman by his side. What is their relationship? Don't ask what you shouldn't ask. You have everything you should have at the age of 14, and any relationship is possible. SHH, I'd better say a few words less and be careful to get into trouble. Yes, yes, yes. A group of celebrities in the society, the leaders in the industry, who are not arrogant and domineering in normal times, and they are very stylish. But at this moment, under Locke's eyes, in addition to admiration, they even whispered softly, extremely cautious. This shows how detached the Rockefeller family is in their hearts. Nodding to everyone expressionlessly, Locke's eyes moved to Tony Stark. At this moment, Tony Stark is also locking his eyes on Locke. Suddenly, looking at each other, a playful smile appeared on Locke's face. It's him. Damn it, it's really this little brat. Tony Stark confirmed with just a glance. The guy who hacked into his own artificial intelligence system was the 14-year-old kid in front of him. Although there is no evidence, but from a man's sixth sense, he is absolutely certain that it is this little brat. It's just that this little brat is taller than him, stronger than him, and more handsome than him. The most difficult thing for him to accept is that the other party is smarter and richer than him. These are the two things he is most proud of. His unparalleled confidence in the outside world comes from these 2 points. However, this guy in front of him defeated him in his most confident field. It was still extremely brutal crushing, which immediately made him feel a sense of sadness that was both born and born. Where the hell did this guy get out of here? Exclamation Tony. Stark thought with a sad look on his face. The good mood of the day was gone. At this moment he is not in the mood to stay any longer, and his original plan to pick up girls has also been cancelled by him. The roar sounded from the palm of his hand and under his feet, and he flew directly outside in the steel battlesuit. I can't beat it and I can't afford to offend it. Can't I just stay away? Out of sight is pure, go home, Gan! Exclamation Tony. Stark thought very unhappily. Watching Tony Stark fly away in front of him, Locke laughed and didn't stop it. But at this moment, Iron Man, who just flew out of the banquet hall, turned into a long rainbow and flew in. Boom! With a loud bang, Iron Man smashed the banquet hall into a mess. The screams sounded immediately, and although they didn't know what happened, a group of people fled in panic. Boom, boom, boom. The sound of earth-shattering footsteps came from outside, the earth trembled, and the house shook as if it had been shaken by an earthquake. Immediately, a tall figure jumped in from the outside, and huge amounts of body smashed the entrance of the banquet hall into pieces. That is a tall humanoid armor. Exclamation This is not the Iron Overlord, who else could it be? Looking at the Iron Overlord who suddenly appeared in the room, Locke's face was full of smiles. The real good show is finally going to be staged. While muttering to himself, he hugged the commander's eldest sister's willow waist. The commander's elder sister, tender as water, sat down in Locke's arms very cooperatively and watched the play together. Tony, you are really good. Close the arms department, stop selling arms, and want to be the savior of this world. But you have made an even more amazing weapon. Isn't it ridiculous, you say? I work hard for the company, but you don't care about my life or death. A bullshit decision will cost me a lot. You make me feel bad, and I can't make you feel better. Obadiah Stanny, who was driving the Iron King, said angrily, his eyes full of killing intent. Today, he wants Tony, die! Exclamation As soon as the voice fell, the Iron Overlord jumped and smashed his extremely heavy body directly at Tony, if he was hit. Rao was wearing a battle armor, Tony was immortal and disabled. In panic, he rolled on the spot and avoided it. However, a pair of big steel hands attacked quickly and grabbed one of Steel Man's legs. Shaking frantically from side to side, Tony slammed into the hard floor like a sandbag and was thrown into a mess. Before he could react, he was thrown away by Iron Overlord again, and the direction was actually the rest room on the second floor where Locke was. Suddenly, the commander's elder sister, who was sitting on Locke's lap, frowned, and a ray of dissatisfaction was revealed. Court death. He jumped out, raised his hand, and with a light touch, Iron Man, who was about to hit them, was swept aside and smashed into the wall heavily. There will be no movement for a while, and I don't know if the battle is over or not. But it doesn't matter anymore, because the big sister of the commander next to Locke is angry. Exclamation The sixth update. There is one more update. Ask for data. Trouble. Chapter 62 The strength of the Commander&amp #039's elder sister can be killed in one kick. Ask for F. Seeing the cold brows of the commander's elder sister beside him, Locke sighed to himself, worthy of being his own commander's elder sister. Even angry is so beautiful, absolutely. As for Tony Stark, who smashed to the side, he didn't care at all, given the defensive power of that armor. Such an attack will not die. In fact, the purpose of his coming here was to witness the big event. After all, Tai Bowing is really just a small shrimp in the huge Marvel universe, and he is not qualified to let him shoot. But now that he is attacking them desperately and pulling him into the battlefield, he will play with him reluctantly. Definitely, it wasn't him doing it himself. It's the commander's eldest sister beside him. It has been a week since birth. He has never seen the strength of the commander's elder sister. You must know that she is an artificial human with 10 times the physical fitness of ordinary people, and her combat power may not be as good as that of Miss 2B. But she definitely won't be too weak. Besides, She also wears light combat equipment that she designed exclusively for her. A phase-shifting energy shield that automatically triggers to block dangerous attacks. A pair of anti-gravity leather boots, yes, the pair on the commander's eldest sister's feet at the moment. After turning on the anti-gravity mode, it can greatly reduce the influence of gravity on her, so that she has an unimaginable bouncing power. Although it is not like the anti-gravity black mechanical flight wing behind Miss 2B, it takes her to the sky. But it was enough for her to gallop freely on the ground. Jumping tens of meters high is by no means as simple as that. She can do it without cobweb, and she can move freely between high-rise buildings like a Spider-Man. His own strong physique, coupled with the blessing of Locke technology, can deal with an Iron Overlord. Trivial. After pushing Iron Man away, Obadiah Stanley jumped up and headed towards the commander. Go away. In Stanley's eyes, the commander's big sister who suddenly appeared was just a passerby. Just kill it. Without thinking so much, huge amounts of steel arms swept straight towards the commander's big sister. But in the imagination, the scene where the woman flew out upside down did not appear. Instead, his giant steel arm was directly blocked by the commander's hand. A look of astonishment appeared immediately. This woman actually blocked her own blow. But how is this possible? A mortal body, a body of steel. The difference between the sky and the body blocks the steel. It is unbelievable and unbelievable. How is that possible? Obadiah Stanley looked at the commander with a look of astonishment, full of doubts. Looking at you, you seem to be surprised. But, what is this? You shouldn't disturb the axing between me and the young master. Now I can only send you down. The commander said, his fists clenched tightly and crackling. The fist that was as white as jade slammed out, only to hear the hunting wind burst. That is the movement of the fist breaking the air boom. With a loud bang, the commander's fist slammed heavily on the Iron Overlord's body. Immediately, huge amounts of Iron Overlord staggered backwards in his body, and his body of steel weighing several tons was thrown backwards by the woman in front of him with a punch. He was shocked by how terrifying the power of this punch was. Looking at his steel armor, the entire abdomen was sunken in a large piece, which was only the damage caused by this woman's punch. What's the use of being huge? Sandbags. The voice landed, the commander's knees were slightly bent, and the leather boots under his feet entered anti-gravity mode. A lunge rushed out, and suddenly, with a bang, the body was like an arrow from the string. The long legs in leather boots hit the Iron Overlord's steel body at an unimaginable speed. The terrifying thrusting force completely smashed the Iron Overlord's body of steel, and the anti-gravity leather boots were directly printed on Obadiah Stanley's body puff. Most of his internal organs were shattered, and he vomited blood. Obadiah Stanley, who was fierce just now, immediately lost his breath, exhaling more and less air. Life seems to have entered a countdown. Obadiah Stanley raised his head with difficulty, looking at the woman who had beaten him in disbelief. His eyes were full of unwillingness. Then he laughed miserably, his finger pressed the button, and a missile on his shoulder was fired directly at the commander in front of him, and he was about to die with the commander. Boom! The earth-shattering explosion rang out, and instantly enveloped the commander and Locke. However, for such an explosion, the two did not take it to heart at all. The phase shift energy barrier triggers automatically, forming a ring around them. The so-called explosion, apart from blowing Obadiah Stanley himself into slag, basically had no effect on them. If I had to say it, it was a huge amount of explosion, which smashed the floor, and the two fell from the second floor to the first floor. That's all. The 7th update. The goal is achieved. There should be no one at this point. Then ask for some data tomorrow morning. Chapter 63. Are two teachers teaching at the same time? I&amp #039. I'm afraid I can&amp #039T handle it. Watching Obadiah Stanley being blown to pieces by his own missiles. The commander's elder sister took her long, slender, and fair legs back under the black evening ceremony, with a look of disdain on her face. The violent and angry look disappeared, dignified and mature, calm and intellectual came back online. If he hadn't watched her kill Tai bowing with his own eyes, Locke would have wondered if she did it. The speed at which the two faces of the commander's elder sister change is really fast. However, he likes it. Mature and calm in front of people, full of killing intent, cold like an iceberg. The queen is enchanting and charming, with a sea of spring and sea, and her enthusiasm is like a stove. What is called cold outside and heat inside, that's all. Because the battle time was too short, everyone in the banquet hall did not run out, and found that the battle was over. So, a group of people couldn't help but stop, and then looked in the direction of Locke in shock. To be more precise, he turned his attention to the commander's eldest sister. After all, they are not blind, they can see the scene just now clearly. This beautiful woman in front of her actually kicked the terrifying large steel-armored man to death with one kick. Exclamation, exclamation, those long beautiful legs can easily kick the steel through. Is that human being? Such a question could not help but pop up in everyone's mind. Of course, Tony Stark is also included. Tony Stark in steel armor stood blankly in front of the collapsed wall, holding the door frame with one hand. The other hand is still facing the direction of Tai bowing, preparing his palm cannon. However, before the palm cannon was fired, there was no one left. In addition to being horrified, it is more embarrassing. After being beaten up, the battle is over. He originally wanted to go back. Now, isn't this beating for nothing? Nema, so angry. In the original plot line, Tony Stark was almost killed by Obadiah Stane. Get killed. Later, it was still relying on the high-altitude icing problem of Tai bowing, which turned defeat into victory and survived by luck. But now, he was only beaten and watched Obadiah Stane be kicked to death by the commander's elder sister. Although Obadiah Stane ended up dead, the whole process was completely different. One is very thrilling, you come and go in battle, and the other is an unchallenged spike. Strong or weak, judge from high to low. You want to eat me too? The commander turned his head slowly and looked at Iron Man not far behind him with cold eyes. Tony Stark shuddered when he heard the commander's words. This woman is so beautiful, but so terrifying. This is definitely not an existence that I can provoke. He didn't want to be kicked by the commander's elder sister because his steel armor was not as thick as the Iron Overlord. If this gets a kick, it is estimated that they will be beaten out. Slip away. Tony Stark under the steel armor laughed dryly and said thank you. It turned into a long rainbow and galloped towards the sky, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Seeing this, a playful smile appeared on Locke's face. It seems that this guy is not something that any woman would dare to touch. Okay, the battle is over. It's time for us to go back, and 2B is estimated to have already returned. This meeting should be waiting at home to help me with my homework. Locke smiled and said, his face indifferent. He originally wanted to find Hammer and talk to him about the acquisition. However, this guy really cherished his life. The moment the battle broke out, he ran away without a trace. This ability to escape is really not guaranteed. No wonder he can live so long in the crisis-ridden Marvel world. 2B is addicted to being a teacher. Then, young master, what should I do today? The commander walked to Locke's side with a sexy catwalk and asked with a smile. Let me think about it. With your mature, intellectual and beautiful image, you can be the beautiful Obeson next door. Locke touched his chin and teased. Obeson? Am I so young? No, I also want to be a tutor. Let Sister 2B be your math teacher today, and I'll be your island language teacher. What do you think? Are two teachers teaching at the same time? I'm afraid I can't handle it. I believe you, okay. Fingers as soft as scallions slid across Locke's chest, and then the two of them interlocked and walked out of the theater. The leisurely stroll, elegant and calm, formed a sharp contrast with the party that was still in chaos. In the corner of the banquet hall, a man in a suit covered his head with his hands. looking at Locke's leaving back with envy and awe. His heart was full of enthusiasm. This middle-aged man is none other than the chairman of Hammer Industries, Justin Hammer. At this moment, the president of the business association came to him. Hammer, I have found you, Master Locke said before the party that he wanted to see you. But I didn't expect things to turn out like this. You will hurry to find him. If your kid can get on the line with Master Locke, you can send it. What? Master Locke said he wanted to see me. Damn it. Wait for me, young master, wait for me. Hearing the president's words, Hammer didn't have the slightest hesitation. He rushed towards the gate and took the initiative to find Locke. No one knows better than him what the Rockefeller family stands for, which is the ceiling of their wealth and power in this country. If he can have even a little relationship with such a behemoth, he will be soaring. Even getting rid of Stark Industries is not impossible. The thought of getting rid of Stark Industries made him even more excited. Don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Data, thanks. Chapter 64 The Potion of Rejuvenation. Re-experience the happiness of men. In another undamaged, luxurious office in the Virgin Mary Banquet Hall, Locke sat calmly on a quaint European-style boss chair. The commander's elder sister stood quietly behind him and pressed her green fingers gently on Locke's shoulders. I can't help but make Locke want to make a very enjoyable voice. The massage skills of the commander's elder sister are really getting better and better. The technique is unparalleled, the strength is moderate, the strength is clear, the rhythm can be fast or slow, anyway, it is very comfortable. Opposite Locke, Justin Hammer was sitting on the sofa with a stiff face, holding the letter of intent for acquisition that the commander threw to him. Whole-owned acquisition. Looking at the contents of the letter of intent, Justin Hammer's face was extremely complicated. He never thought that the purpose of Master Locke looking for him was to buy his Hammer Industries wholly. To tell the truth, his heart is extremely rejected. As an excellent businessman, he is very aware of what a wholly owned acquisition means. This means that after working hard for many years, it is equivalent to making a wedding dress for others, raising a daughter by myself, and finally giving it to someone else as a daughter-in-law. In the future, whether his daughter is good or bad, the role that his father can play will be minimal. The key is to marry a daughter and return to her parents' home, saying that this wholly owned acquisition is nothing. If you still control part of the property rights of assets, you may still have a little right to speak. But if not, then he is really swept out of the house. Such an end was naturally not what he hoped for. I thought I could get on a big boat like Locke, but when I swam in front of me, I found out that it was not a big boat at all, but a whale that wanted to devour his little shrimp. Gently placing the letter of intent on the acquisition on the table, Hammer smiled cautiously and said cautiously, Master Locke, this letter of intent is probably inappropriate. We, Hammer Industries, now have a very sufficient capital chain and are developing very well. Hey, then that my stomach is a little uncomfortable, I want to go to the toilet, can you see? Looking at Justin, who pretended to have a stomachache and wanted to urinate in front of him, Locke had a playful smile on his face. You can definitely take the opportunity to leave, but I only have one chance. If you miss it, you won't have it. Think about it yourself. The corners of Locke's mouth were slightly upturned, and he began to close his eyes and rest. This calm look doesn't look like a 14-year-old boy, he looks like a wily man. And the more calm and indifferent Locke acted, the more terrified he felt. After seeing the powerful fighting power of the woman beside Locke, he feared this woman from the bottom of his heart, for fear that this woman would also give him a kick. In that way, I estimate that I will be able to go to hell immediately and meet his father. The urination he wanted to escape was also abruptly dispelled by him. See Justin fidgeting, hesitation, indecision. The commander said with a cold expression, You said just now that your Hammer industrial capital chain has sufficient funds and is developing well. Do you think my young master would believe this kind of bluffing trick? Even if your capital chain is sufficient, I can make you insufficient. Do you believe it? Domineering, arrogant. This was Hammer's first reaction to this woman, but he didn't dare to refute anything. If the Rockefeller family really wants to target him and engage him, he really has nothing to do. This world is like this, the weak and the strong eat. The reality is he has been mixed for most of his life. He is very clear. Bitterness, pain, condensed into a complex bitter melon face. Master Locke, how can I be? I am attracted by you. The almost desperate question came from Hammer's mouth. Locke smiled and moved the back of his head from the soft mountain bulging up by the commander's elder sister. He leaned forward slightly, his fingers crossed, and his hands rested lightly on his chin. Good question. Why did you choose? Because I need someone to build me a powerful mechanical army. And your Hammer Industries, with ready-made production lines, doesn't need me to waste my time. It's 1, 2, because of your ambition. What, don't you want to go beyond Stark Industries? Or are you afraid? Locke sneered. Hearing Locke's words, Justin's face was complicated, and his eyes immediately lit up with fighting spirit. I definitely thought about it. Well then, there are many kinds of wholly owned acquisitions, and I think you are still a little capable. So this is the letter of intent for you to agree to acquire. You still own some assets, but you just lost control. In addition to the acquisition by agreement, I can completely finance the acquisition without giving you any chance. At that time, the culture, management model, management and operation methods of your Hammer Industries will all be changed. And you will be swept out of the door by me. Which is more important, you should think about it. Locke sat up straight again, slightly tilted his head back, and pressed lightly on the commander's body again. The commander smiled slightly. Spring heart rippling, hands continue to gently massage on Locke's shoulders. After that, Locke raised his hand and threw a small medicine bottle on the table in front of Hammer. Coronary heart disease is a very painful disease that needs to be taken care of, but with your ambition, it is impossible to take care of it. This is the medicine I developed. Drinking it will not only keep you safe for life, but also make you feel old and young again, and experience the joy of being a man again. But conditions, you should know, I need a loyal subordinate. After finishing speaking, Locke gently held the commander's slender hand and walked towards the door. My people will find you tomorrow. Locke's calm voice sounded in Justin's ears. Looking at the medicine bottle on the table, Justin finally picked it up after hesitation. Ask for a monthly ticket for flower evaluation. Thank you. Chapter 65 Miss 2B who needs to continue strengthening seeking flowers and evaluation. The luxury commercial vehicle driven by artificial intelligence Nines is driving on the smooth road, targeting the Rockefeller estate. Master, do you think he will agree? The commander exhaled Yulin beside Locke and asked curiously. Just then, a button on his collar collapsed. In order to prevent outsiders from seeing her charmingness, when the commander's sister chose an evening dress, she deliberately chose one with a tightly stitched upper body. Because if it is exposed, the visual impact is too strong and it will shock people to the ground. She herself doesn't like other people staring, definitely Locke staring, that's another matter. It just made her not expect that the buttons on the neckline would be broken. As the seal on the neckline was lifted, the demon that devoured people's hearts was revealed again in front of Locke and began to show his teeth and claws at him. You are not polite. Faced with the demon's provocation, you can directly hold it. A strange scream came out, and the demon was a little scared and began to tremble. I'm a big believer in human nature, and there's no way Justin could have survived such a test. A healthy and strong body has always been what he hoped, as well as the happiness of men, even more so. As Locke said, he threw the information in his hand aside, which showed Justin's medical records over the years. Knowing oneself and knowing the enemy can win 100 battles. Although directly relying on the power of the Rockefeller family, he can directly make him succumb. But he prefers to kill and punish his enemies, and to those he wants he prefers the principle of voluntariness rather than coercion. Just like Big Sister Commander and Miss 2B, they like to help their homework because they like it. It's a bit sloppy, But you know what it means. Giggle, young master, do you know? I like the way you are arrogant and grasp everything. Domineering, arrogant, but full of charm, obsessed, willing to give everything for you. I just don't know the taste in your mouth. Can you stand it by yourself? The commander bit his lip and looked at Locke with beautiful eyes and said, "The flaming red lips are just a stone's throw away from Locke." Looking at the commander's sister who was in front of him, Locke shook his head with a wry smile and said, "My good sister, I'm embarrassed for what you said. I am not able to grasp everything with one hand. As for the test, is this still a question? Definitely not. Giggle, you're being honest, so do you want to blame me?" The commander said jokingly. "No, no, blame myself. Even if the hands are small, the will is not firm," Locke said with a smile. Hearing this, the commander's smiling branches trembled, but his body moved to the opposite position of Locke. The slender legs slowly stretched out from the skirt, the head was slightly tilted back, and the long, flowing hair fell like a waterfall. The exquisite body outlines a beautiful curve. "Master, come." "Master, I have endured you for a long time." Locke was speechless. This woman provoked herself again and again, and learned a lesson. The self-driving commercial vehicle was parked in a maple forest. This is the situation. It just confirms that beautiful verse. Rockefeller Manor, on the balcony on the second floor of the villa. A woman with an outstanding figure and a beautiful face sat on the rocking chair, her legs as straight as greenery swayed with the rocking chair. I looked at my watch. It was almost 10 o'clock in the evening. These two guys, why haven't they come back? They are just attending a party. It seems that the commander's sister is stealing the fish behind my back again. It must be like this. No, when the young master comes back, I want double the reward. This stunning beauty reclining on a rocking chair is not Miss 2B. Who else could it be? Just as she was talking to herself, a luxurious black commercial car swayed from a distance. Driving all the way into the underground parking room of the manor, watching such a scene, Miss 2B jumped out with curiosity and ran directly towards the commercial car. These two guys, the car is shaking like this, and I don't know how to fix the car. It's too lazy, I'll help you. After a long time, with the help of Miss 2B, the wheel of the commercial vehicle was finally changed to a good one. Looking at the shapeshifted car wheel that was thrown beside her, Miss 2B looked at the two of them curiously. "Have a car accident on the road? The wheels of the car have been hit like this, and I don't know how to change it." "It's changed," the commander's elder sister said with a smile, looking at Locke with a playful look in her eyes. "So this is a spare tire? Had a second car accident?" "Specifically, 3 times. The last time I really didn't have a tire to change, so I had to drive back like this. 3 car accidents in a row? It's a murder. Didn't you clean up that guy?" "It's cleaned up, and it's still ruthless, otherwise we won't be able to come back." Listening to the conversation between the commander and Miss 2B, Locke was ashamed. It is rare to be able to chat so speculatively across servers. One word, absolutely. Back to the study. Locke quietly looked at the note handed by Miss 2B, which clearly stated the intersection to Wakanda. Wakanda. The existence of this planet's technology is far ahead, and the current Tony Stark is afraid that it can't be compared with it. And the strength of the other party is far beyond the few known forces. Because Wakanda is a country, a technological powerhouse built on the Vibranium vein. In this way, the family advantage he has in the beautiful country is of little use when facing Wakanda. After all, the other party is an independent country. Rao is now him and needs to be treated with caution, which is why he let Miss 2B get the entrance information. As for what to do in Wakanda, simple for Vibranium. His humanoid mecha, Miss 2B, Miss A2 and other members of the Yakoba army behind him all needed to use this rare and sky-defying metal material. Looking at the black suitcase handed over by 2B, he opened it, and there was about several hundred kilograms of vibranium inside. So few. It seems that I can only strengthen you temporarily, my to-be wife. Locke smiled, looking at Miss 2B beside him and said, Strengthen me? Young master, am I not strong enough? 2B said with a dissatisfied expression. Strong, but this thing can make you stronger. Don't you want to be stronger? How strong is stronger? It's probably like 10 consecutive rewards. Let's go, strengthening. Are you still waiting? Miss 2B was excited and dragged Locke towards the laboratory. Don't worry, before strengthening, I have more important things to do, Locke said mysteriously. His so-called more important thing is naturally to extract a new technological world. Ask for data, thank you. Chapter 66 Bai was happy seeking flowers and comments. Although Tai Bowing is in the vast Marvel universe, it can only be regarded as a small shrimp-like existence. But because Locke participated in the big event this time, he still got a little system points. There are really not many points, 20 points. When Locke watched TV and witnessed the birth of Iron Man, he was awarded 10 points by the system. Now that he has participated in the big event, he has only been awarded 20 points, which is no one else. However, this also indirectly reflected that Tai Bowing was really too weak, and even the system looked down on him. Although 20 points are few, but 20 plus 80 equals 100, this calculation formula, Locke can still calculate it. Yes, Locke has now accumulated enough 100 points, which also means that he can carry out a new round of the Technology World Lottery. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but get a little excited and asked Miss 2B and Big Sister Commander to go out and play in the mud first. Locke stayed quietly in the study by himself and began to close his eyes to rest and enter the system. Outside the study, 2B looked at Locke's door curiously. Sister Commander, why is the young master so mysterious all of a sudden? Shouldn't he be hiding in there and doing something fussy? 2B asked curiously. Who can compare to you in this? The conversation you just had with me was quite similar. Don't know anything, do you? Innocent little girl, right? See if I forgive you. While talking, the commander jokingly went to tickle 2B. Miss 2B giggled and stepped back, looked at the commander, and said, There are 3 traffic accidents in total. This driver is probably blind. There was no problem with the body, but the shock absorber and wheel were broken. Do you think I can't figure it out yet? Haha, as expected of our sister 2B. The commander smiled and shook his head, a shy look on his face. HMPH, I knew you were stealing it. Forget it. I didn't even take a shower in order to wait for you to come back, so I'll go wash Xiang first. Miss 2B twisted his enchanting figure and walked towards the bathroom while undressing. When she entered the bathroom, the floor was covered with her clothes. Seeing this, the commander smiled wryly and shook his head, like a big sister, following behind her ass, picking up clothes one after another, and throwing them into the basket on the side. Inside the study. What the hell? There is such a rule. In front of the desk, Locke looked stunned, thinking about taking another technological world, but the result was not as simple as he thought. According to the system rules, the acquisition of the technological world is divided into 2 modes. The first is the technology world lottery function that Locke used when he obtained the neo-mechanical age. The function of this function is very simple. As long as you accumulate 100 points, you will be able to conduct a brand new technology world lottery. However, there are hidden conditions. The most important condition is that the host can only perform the next extraction after completing the cutting-edge technology identified by the system. It's very simple, because the technology world that Locke drew for the first time was the neo-mechanical era. In the system identification, the cutting-edge technologies in the neo-mechanical era are artificial humans, general-purpose combat robots, scanning robots, auxiliary robots, and humanoid mecha flight formation. That is to say, if Locke wants to conduct a new round of science and technology world lottery, he must first complete the research on these cutting-edge technologies. The reason why the system has such regulations is entirely because the purpose of the Big Bang of the tech world system is to make the host a technological overlord. As a technological overlord, how can he lack his own actual combat research and creation? This is like wanting to become a scholar. How can you not brush the questions? The system is his gold finger, but it is also his supervisor. The system can easily instill scientific and technological knowledge into his mind. But the actual combat research can't be done for him, and all these need to be done by Locke himself. And Locke, after nearly 2 months, most of the cutting-edge scientific and technological tasks have been completed. At present, the only humanoid mecha, Flight, is left to build. His original plan was to put it together with the outer space base to start construction. But now it seems that he must start the research of flight formation ahead of schedule. In other words, I was happy for nothing. Locke muttered to himself, shaking his head with a wry smile. I didn't expect this to be the case in the end, but since it has entered the system, he intends to thoroughly understand the rules of this system. Chapter 67 Single Technology Lottery, Permanent Energy Furnace Seeking Flowers and Evaluation. A few minutes later, a different kind of brilliance appeared on Locke's face. Because according to his research, the usage of system integral is not as simple as he thought before. There are many hidden rules here. The first is the big lottery in the world of science and technology, so I won't say much about this. The second is direct exchange. If you want to exchange for any technological world, you can exchange for any technological world. However, the points needed to directly exchange for the world of science and technology are amazing, and some god-level technological civilizations are even an astronomical number. Open the world of science and technology in exchange for the interface, god-level technological civilization, all are 99,999. I almost missed Locke's eyes. It's like the top equipment in the game mall. It can only be viewed from a distance and cannot be played with obscenely. In addition to these two, there is another one called the Single Technology Big Draw. This function, as the name suggests, does not directly extract an entire technological world. Instead, it draws a certain kind of scientific and technological knowledge in a certain world, and the points drawn are also 100 points. However, this is more likely to be a crit than the big draw in the science and technology world, and it is very likely that a technology of the god-level scientific and technological civilization will be directly drawn. For example, if Locke can draw the two-way foil, the result can be imagined. When Director Thanos of the Family Planning Office saw him, he had to walk around. Maybe I can try a single technology lottery, Locke murmured and touched his chin. For a moment, figure it out directly. Isn't it just 100 points? There are so many big events in the later stage. Are you afraid that you won't be able to get points? If you fight it now, it is very likely that a bicycle will become an airplane cannon. Success always coexists with risks, and he feels it is worthwhile to exchange 100 points for an opportunity. Even if the lottery is not what you want, at least it will not be worse than the Nick Machine era you won. Even if it is bad, it can only blame his bad luck. After thinking about it, Locke did not have hesitation, and directly started the Single Technology Lottery. To conduct a single technology lottery? Do you want to turn it on now? The system prompt sounded, and Locke nodded. Yes, draw the lottery now. Single technology lottery starts. With the sound of the system prompt, suddenly, the familiar compass appeared in front of him again. But this time, not one cover appeared on the compass. Instead, there are many technical names, all kinds, and most of Locke have never seen them. Before he could see clearly, the rapidly spinning pointer had stopped. Suddenly, a technological name was revealed in front of Locke. Permanent Energy Furnace. Looking at this name, Rao is a calm person like Locke, and he is lying at the moment. He didn't expect that in his first single technology lottery, the lottery turned out to be Dragon Ball World, the permanent energy furnace technology owned by Dr. Jiro. As we all know, this thing is the standard configuration of the artificial human created by Dr. Grew in the later period. No. 16, no. 17, no. 18, etc. are all installed with permanent energy furnaces. With this thing, the artificial man can have unlimited energy, and he can survive as long as he drinks a little water every day, which is equivalent to having endless life. Suddenly, there was a grand plan in Locke's mind. Although he has not been able to create a powerful android at the level of No. 18 for the time being. But if you combine the permanent energy furnace and vibranium, you sit on Miss 2B. So how far will your 2B wife be? Suddenly, excitedly looking forward to all kinds of emotions appearing in his heart. Make him want to drag Miss 2B into the laboratory now. Get up, quickly walk out of the study, came to the living room outside. What about 2B? Locke looked at the commander's eldest sister who was changing into a burgundy pajamas and asked, "Why, I only have your 2B wife in my heart, so I don't have the status of my commander's daughter-in-law." The commander moved his golden hair like a waterfall and said with a charming and moving face, "How dare I? My teacher Shimbun is looking for her on business." Locke said, dumbfounded. On the way back just now, he and the commander's eldest sister had several academic discussions. But now I have no idea. Now he just wants to quickly catch Miss 2B into the laboratory and start his latest research. Where else can she be at this time? Washing incense and preparing for the homework tutoring later. I won't do my homework today, I'll have a day off. A meaningful smile appeared on Locke's face, and he rushed straight into the bathroom. Suddenly, screams rang out. Although the number of words is more than 12W, I still ask for flowers and comments. Monthly pass, thank you. Chapter 68 Vibranium is nanosized. Miss 2B has evolved seeking flowers and evaluation. Before you know it, a week has passed. During these 7 days, Locke once again entered a state of sleeplessness and forgetfulness. Day and night stay in his small laboratory. One after another calculation formulas were densely written on the computer by him, and then combined and deduced. Finally, come to the conclusion you want, and then start the experiment according to the conclusion. In this way, day and night, Rao is Locke, who has a Superman physique, and he can't help but feel exhausted. However, with such hard work, there will naturally be no gains. For 7 days, he used the technical knowledge of the permanent energy furnace provided by the system. Successfully built the world's first permanent energy furnace. Not only that, he relied on his powerful wisdom to successfully nanoscale vibranium. You must know that in Wakanda, the most advanced technology can only draw vibranium. The full vibranium battle suit worn by the Black Panther is done using this advanced technology. But here in Locke, drawing is nothing at all, and he has already played with vibranium. Turn it directly into a nano shape invisible to the naked eye, but it's okay. Then, he will use the permanent energy furnace and vibranium in nano state and the enhanced super soldier serum. All of them were used in the body transformation of Miss 2B. Today is the moment when the transformation is complete. With a look of anticipation on his face, Locke stood in front of the training warehouse, looking at the familiar and unfamiliar body inside, the corners of his mouth turned up slightly. The reason why this body is familiar is naturally because teacher 2B has helped him with his homework many times before. Unfamiliar is because the current Miss 2B has been transformed by him, and her body has evolved. A permanent energy furnace is loaded into her body, and her physical body has also integrated with the nano-sized vibranium to become one. Although the previous Miss 2B is also quite powerful, but compared with now, it is incomparable. Previously, her body's powerful defense ability mainly depended on the high-tech defense weapon that Locke had equipped her with, the phase shift energy barrier. Without this energy barrier, his body would still be scratched by sharp weapons and wounded by bullets. Although she won't die because of this, her body's defense strength will not be too unbelievable. but now that she has integrated nano-vibranium's body, her skin is extremely tough and can be truly indestructible. The most incredible thing is that she can easily form a black vibranium armor on the surface of her body skin as long as she moves her consciousness. That feeling looks like the domineering armed color in the world of pirates. Using technology to create armed and domineering, this is also no one. Master, is this the 2B you remodeled? It doesn't look any different from before. The elder sister, the commander, looked at 2B in the training cabin and said curiously, "Hee, you can't just look at the appearance. You can see that the appearance of 2B has not changed, but there are too many changes inside." Locke said excitedly. "Inside? Which inside?" The commander looked at Locke with a half smile and said, "Sister Commander, you are enough. Giggle, I'm kidding you. But to be honest, I really can't tell the difference from the outside. You'll be able to see it later," Locke said confidently. After all, he pressed the button of the training bin. Immediately, the culture medium quickly dried up, and Miss 2B's beautiful carcass appeared in front of him without reservation. Although Locke is no longer familiar with the whimpering 2B master in front of him. But every time I see her beautiful body, I still feel a little uncontrollable. At this moment, Miss 2B, who had closed her eyes, suddenly opened her eyes. When she saw Locke standing in front of her, her face was full of happy smiles. "What's the date today?" Miss 2B asked out of curiosity as she walked out of the training warehouse gracefully. "It's been a week since you fell asleep," the commander said on the side. "A week, but I just feel like I've slept in a while. Time flies so fast. I haven't tutored the creator for a week. Master, your grades won't drop, right?" Miss 2B stretched her waist and looked at Locke with a half smile. The stretched body revealed a beautiful curve, which made people imagined. "Cough, the commander's elder sister is tutoring, so you don't have to worry about your homework." Locke was speechless and threw her gothic skirt in front of 2B. "Yeah, I'll have to check it out later," 2B said thoughtfully. "Locke, as for the homework, I'll talk about it later. Let's first try to see how strong your body is." Locke shook his head with a wry smile and took 2B to the place dedicated to testing. "I need some data, thanks." Chapter 69 Technology to create armed color domineering is okay. Please order 1. Under Locke's transformation, the muscle density of Miss 2B's body has been increased by dozens of times, and various attribute values have also skyrocketed. Her body strength far exceeds that of steel, and indestructible is already a trivial matter. It is estimated that it will not be a big problem if she is bombarded by artillery shells. The super self-healing ability, super strength, super explosive power, and the ability to create vibranium armor on any part of the body at will directly pulled her fighting level to another level. 2B, how do you feel? Has there been any change? Looking at 2B, who was already dressed, with her hands clasped in excitement, the commander's elder sister asked curiously, "How?" "The whole body is full of inexhaustible strength. This feeling is really cool," Miss 2B said with a look of intoxication. Looking at Locke beside him, his eyes were full of admiration. "The reason why I can have such a change at the moment is all thanks to myself, the creator of this technology prodigy." "Master, is this the power of the permanent energy furnace?" Miss 2B looked at Locke in shock and asked. Hearing this, Luo Lan's mouth pulled into a charming smile and nodded. "The permanent energy furnace can continuously deliver powerful energy to you, so that you can never stop." "Never stop. It's a good one who never stops, then. Young master, you will have to work hard for you in the future." Miss 2B seemed to think of something and looked at Locke jokingly. "Be serious, okay, start the strength test program," Locke said. "Yes, start the strength test program immediately." The voice of artificial intelligence 9 sounded in the room. At the moment when the voice landed, a hemispherical glass cover slowly fell from above. Then 2B was shrouded and at the same time machine guns protruded into the glass room. "Are you ready?" Locke said quietly, looking at 2B in the room. This strength test program was created by him in the past few days, and the purpose is to test the combat effectiveness of Miss 2B. Hearing Locke's question, 2B smiled confidently and said proudly, I've been preparing." With a smile, Locke directly gave the opening order to Nines. Suddenly, bullets poured down like raindrops towards Miss 2B inside. In the face of such ferocious firepower, most people are afraid that they will be shot into a sieve in an instant. But Miss 2B stood still inside, not even dodging. He actually wanted to rely on his own body to withstand the bullet attack. Seeing such a scene, the commander's elder sister was horrified and closed her eyes subconsciously. "I think 2B is about to be shot into a hornet's nest." But what she didn't expect was the sound of bullets falling to the ground after the gunshots. Curiously opened his eyes, a horrified scene appeared, only to see 2B standing inside unscathed. There were flat bullets piled up under her feet, and these flat bullets directly reflected the power of 2B at the moment. "How hard is 2B's body now?" the commander muttered to himself with a look of surprise. "It seems that this level of test is not enough. Start the next level 1 test." Locke shook his head and said with a dissatisfied face, "What? Master, the second stage of the test is shelling. Is it really possible?" Hearing Locke's words, the commander's elder sister looked at young Master Locke beside her with surprise, thinking she had heard it wrong. "Sister Commander, you talk a little too much today. It seems that I have been busy with scientific and technological research these days, and I have neglected to discipline you. Let's see how I will deal with you later." Giggle, the commander is wrong. I'll take the blame for myself at night. Hearing what Locke said, the commander showed a blushing smile. At night, he carried a whip on his back to plead guilty, but it was all right. The second stage of the test is very simple, which is to change the previous bullet attack to a cannonball attack. The strength test program was designed by Locke himself to test the subject's defensive ability. It is divided into 4 stages, namely bullet attack, artillery attack, missile attack, and unconventional weapon attack. Among them, unconventional weapon attacks include a variety of energy cannon attacks and nuclear strikes. Obviously, a test of this level could not be carried out in his small laboratory. At present, he can at most go to the second stage of the test here. Following Locke's order, a huge black iron ball turned into an afterimage and flew towards Miss 2B. This iron ball is nothing but the first series of shells used in the second phase of testing. The so-called first series of shells refers to the most primitive iron cannons, which rely on rapid impact to produce damage. The second series of shells refers to shells filled with explosives, which will explode violently after impact. Obviously, the power of the second series of shells is far greater than the first series. But the test is naturally from low to high. The power of this iron cannon is enough to blast a deep pit several meters in diameter on the hard ground. But in the face of such a cannonball, Miss 2B's face was extremely calm. I saw that the surface of her right palm was immediately wrapped in black vibranium armor, which looked very miraculous. Without hesitation, a punch slammed fiercely towards the galloping iron cannon. Because the speed was so fast, there was a sonic boom. Boom! With a loud bang, her palm came into direct contact with the iron cannon. Suddenly, a thick white smoke emerged from the surface of her palm. That's because of the rapid friction between the two. The power of huge amounts of iron cannon balls was blocked by 2B's palm, unable to dash forward. With a cold smile, Miss 2B grabbed it hard, and the iron cannon in her hand was crushed by her. Looking at such a scene, Rao Shiluo was a little surprised. Such power may have been able to compete with himself. As for the commander's elder sister, she was already stunned. As an android who has been strengthened, her strength is no longer weak. She can do things like smashing steel, but she needs the rapid impact of anti-gravity boots. Like 2B, She couldn't imagine the operation of crushing the iron ball with her bare hands. Such strength, such physical strength, is simply King Kong Barbie. As expected of Miss 2B, who has been carefully transformed by the young master, her combat effectiveness has been completely improved. There should be no problem calling her the strongest among them. Definitely, whether they are the strongest or not, they are all products of the Creator and will always be loyal to the young Master Locke. Is this the strength of 2B now? It's too strong, the commander's elder sister said with emotion. Within my expectations, conduct the second series of bomb tests. Locke continued to give the order. Immediately, a shell loaded with gunpowder blasted towards 2B. In a split second, the terrifying shockwave of blazing flames and explosions engulfs 2B. The whole glass room was full of smoke, and it was impossible to see anything with the naked eye. Locke and the commander both had a dignified and curious expression on their faces at the moment. At this moment, a black fist smashed heavily on the glass room. Under the powerful force, the glass room was cracked immediately. Cracks like spider webs covered the entire hemispherical glass. Immediately afterwards, the second punch quickly followed. Crack, crack, boom! With a loud noise, the hemispherical glass room shattered directly, turning into slag and scattered on the ground. At the same time, the beautiful Miss 2B, whose whole body was wrapped in black vibranium armor, walked out gracefully from the inside. Master, are you still satisfied with my test results? The vibranium armor on his body disappeared, and 2B returned to its normal state, but the clothes were burned. Whether you are satisfied or not, we will have to wait for another test at night to pass before we can give you an answer. Hearing Locke's words, Miss 2B's eyes showed a look of anticipation. What night are you waiting for? Let's continue the test now. 7 days, 7 full days. Do you know how I got through? After all, Miss 2B rushed forward with a stride, and with that eager look, Locke was a little flustered. As the saying goes, a small one is better than a newlywed, which is exactly what it means. Chapter 70 Overall Planning. Looking for Adamantium Formula. Please order one. At night, in the study, Locke put a tick on the name of Miss 2B on his plan. This means that his predetermined plan was completed, and then his eyes moved down to the name of Wakanda. Miss Strengthening 2B is just a first move, just like before. She is still crossing the river by feeling the stones. With the successful example of Miss 2B, he needs to apply the successful experience to other members of the Yoba army. He could build a permanent energy furnace himself, but vibranium, a rare metal material, was in short supply, and it was imperative to enter Wakanda. But as said before, Wakanda is an independent country with advanced technology. It's good that he is the prince of the Rockefeller family, but his status is not enough to make Wakanda give vibranium's hands to the point. Therefore, he needs to rely on his own strength to get more vibranium. And the amount of vibranium he needs is definitely not what Wakanda is willing to sell. Therefore, the only way he wants to get a lot of vibranium is to invade Wakanda and force them to hand over the amount of vibranium they want. This is Locke's plan, a very crazy plan. Invading a country, it's obviously not enough to rely on individual strength. My massive anti-gravity assisted robot. It's time to step up production. Locke murmured to himself that a decision had already been made in his smart brain. Looking down again, several keywords were all revealed in his eyes. Hulk Serum Doctor. Blue. Unmanned mechanical armor Ivan Vank Military Enterprises Hammer. There is a tick behind Hammer's name, and Hammer Industries has now been wholly acquired by him. Hammer has also become his loyal manager, and Hammer Industries is still managed by him. But above him there is a commander's big sister. The current commander's eldest sister is the supreme commander of the Rockefeller family's business department. And after these, it is Locke, the hands-off shopkeeper, who is only responsible for the control of the direction. As for how to realize and implement his plan, this is the matter of the subordinates. Quietly looking at the keywords in his hand, Locke added a real adamantium formula at the end. In the huge Marvel universe, There are 3 kinds of metals that are considered to be the hardest. They are the infinitely enchanted Uru metal located in the 9 realms, among which Thor's Mjolnir is made of Uru metal, and the other 2 are on Earth. One is the Vibranium that was just used to transform Miss 2B, and the other is the real Adamantium that needs to use Vibranium for artificial synthesis. Yes, it's true. Adamantium. Because adamantium is also divided into several types, the original adamantium is unintentionally synthesized. It ended up being used on Captain America's shield and can no longer be reproduced. And then there's the real adamantium, the one injected into Wolverine's body. And the real adamantium is injected into Wolverine's body because of his unique self-healing factor. Induced changes to the real adamantium molecular layer, which eventually became adamantium beta. Adamantium beta works the same as real adamantium, but does not inhibit the biological processes of the bones. However, because the production of real adamantium is extremely difficult and expensive, another secondary adamantium was born. Definitely, the hardness of the secondary adamantium is definitely not comparable to the other ones. Since he wants to get adamantium, Locke naturally hopes that it will be true. Adamantium. As far as he knows, the only one who knows the real adamantium formula is the military of the beautiful country. Therefore, he still needs to get in touch with the military personnel to get this formula. He hopes to use adamantium because of the creation of Miss A2. After all, Miss 2B has already used Vibranium. Wouldn't it be beautiful to have another Miss A2 from adamantium? In addition to needing to get the adamantium formula, there is also Dr. Blue's Hulk serum, and Ivan Vank's unmanned mechanical armor. This is what he hopes to get. After all, this is the second way he can strengthen his own strength besides the system. The system is not powerful, so you can only do it yourself. Called Miss 2B and Miss Commander in. Master, it's late at night. We've been waiting for you for a long time. You don't come to sleep. You stay in the study all the time. Do you want us to be widowed? 35. As soon as she entered the room, Miss 2B twisted her water snake waist and sat in Locke's arms. The slender fingers like green onion held Locke's handsome face and said. On the other side, the commander's elder sister smiled and came behind Locke and lightly pressed her hands on Locke's shoulders. Looking at the commander behind 2B in his arms, one is youthful and beautiful, the other is mature and intellectual, 2 completely different beauties. But very dirty, but okay. Locke smiled, contented. There is no more winner in life than this. He habitually put his head on the commander's body and said, What you said, it's only 10 o'clock, okay, when I don't have a watch. Young master, you are only 14 years old, you are just growing up, you should go to bed earlier, just put off work until tomorrow. 2B is concerned. Yes, young master, let's rest today. The commander also said behind his back. Listening to what the 2 seemed to be concerned about, Locke shook his head disdainfully and said, Is it a rest when I enter the room? I'm too embarrassed to puncture you. All give me some seriousness, and I have something serious to tell you. 39. Yes. Hearing that Locke said there was something serious, 2B and the commander became serious together. 2B. These 2 days you went to Imperial University to spy on a guy named Dr. Stern. Just stare at him for a while. If one day you find that he has been in contact with a strange man, let me know immediately. Yes. Miss 2B nodded. By the way, how strange is the strange guy? The butt is on the face, or is there something else on the face? Miss 2B asked curiously. 5. What's going on in your head? A face is a face, what else could grow on it? Locke is speechless. This robot wife is really getting more and more outrageous. Zero seeking flowers. It's impossible to say. The world is so big. What if? Not in case. What if there was? If there is, you will kill him. That thing has a face. It must be an alien, and it is right to kill him. Okay. Master, what about me? The commander's elder sister's fingers continued to dance on Locke's shoulders and then gradually moved down. These two guys are really more dishonest than the other. It seems that I really have to go to bed early today. Sister Commander, you inform Hammer tomorrow and let him go to North Bear Country. Find a guy named Ivan Vank, the guy's info. I'll send it to you later. Understood. Is there anything else? There is one more thing that you need to handle yourself. Tomorrow you will follow Lao Mo to get in touch with the military. Give me the news of the Adamantium formula. Locke rubbed the center of his eyebrows, looking tired. I don't know if I don't do it, but as soon as I do it, I find that there are too many things he needs to do. There is also the matter of anti-gravity assisted robots, but also keep an eye on me and achieve the goal of 1 million units as soon as possible. I believe it won't be long before we can use it. Locke said seriously. Imagine how magnificent it will be when he leads 1 million anti-gravity assistance robots in the sky above Wakanda. At that time, a group of people in Wakanda will be shocked. The production line has been in production 24 hours a day, about 10,000 units a day. We are still building other production lines. Once completed, at least 100,000 units will be built a day, and 1 million will be a matter of 10 days. 5. Well, just keep an eye on it. This is about an important plan for us later. Locke stretched. The head tilted back left a deep dent on the commander's body. A strange voice came from the commander's mouth, very charming. It's getting late, young master, it's time to rest. The commander's face was blushing, and his fingers continued to knead on Locke's shoulders, which made people very comfortable. Yeah, it's really getting late. Your homework hasn't been done yet. In this way, how can I see the teacher tomorrow? Miss 2B twisted her body and put the cat in Locke's arms. I'm sorry, I've dropped out of school, Locke said with tears in his eyes. Although you have dropped out of school, you can't stop learning, and learning makes people progress. Let's go and learn the island language with the commander. I haven't learned that da ba song yet, Miss 2B said coquettishly. Why do you want to learn to sing and get me to do it? You can find the commander's sister to learn it yourself. That's not good, Commander's sister said. This song wants to be sung emotionally, and it must have your help. Is that so? Commander's sister 5. Yes. 66. I believe in your evil. I have endured you for a long time. Don't I want to sing? Today I will let you sing enough. Reward report comments. Chapter 71. Miss 2B committed suicide and fell from the building. All because of one word, strong. Plea. A few days later. A woman in a black Gothic trench coat sits on the balcony of a towering building in New York City. Behind her, 2 long swords were floating in the air as if they had no weight at all. The woman has headphones in her ears and is currently playing a song of the Dragon Kingdom on a loop, which is the most dazzling national style. A few days ago, the video of Iron Man dancing became popular on the internet, and together with the song of the Dragon Kingdom. After hearing it, it was so catchy that even Miss 2B was brainwashed. With the rhythm of the music, Miss 2B's slender legs are shaking in the sky, very beautiful. At this moment, a rapid siren sounded from the street below, and a red and blue light was flashing, which was particularly dazzling. At the same time, not far away, several Apache gunships were roaring towards Roar, the central neighborhood of New York. Seeing this, Miss 2B showed a playful smile on her face. Waiting for a good show for a week, is it finally going to be staged today? Miss 2B muttered to herself. A week ago, after receiving Locke's order, she entered Imperial University directly. As an auditor, he entered 587 into Dr. Stern's classroom, and then he secretly investigated for 7 days. It turned out that, as her young master said, this guy named Dr. Stern really had contact with a very strange guy. This strange guy, whose real name is Bruce Banner, according to the information provided by the Artificial Intelligence Nines, was an excellent physicist in the beautiful country. But because of an accident during a gamma-ray experiment, his body was exposed to massive gamma-ray radiation. But after being irradiated, Dr. Banner not only did not die, but turned into a green monster that would transform into a monster once he got angry. Called the Hulk. After seeing the photo of the Hulk, Miss 2B finally understood why Locke called him a strange guy. He was unusually tall and strong, with green skin, and only wore a pair of large shorts. For Miss 2B, who loves beauty very much, this is simply the strangest and ugliest guy in the world. And she listened to what the young master said. There is more than one such ugly guy, and another one will appear tonight. And there will be battles in the heart of New York City, causing considerable damage. And what she needs to do here is very simple, not to stop their war. Instead, participate in this battle. Then kill these two ugly monsters. One is disabled and the other is killed. Although I don't know why her young master gave her such an order. But what's the point of that? Since it's an order, she just needs to obediently complete it. Then, when you go home at night, you can collect today's rewards again. Isn't it beautiful? Press the pause button and put away the headset. Miss 2B stretched a big lazy waist, and her taut body left a beautiful shadow on the ground under the moonlight. Then, the shadow slowly elongated on the ground and then disappeared with a bang. Miss 2B has already jumped off the balcony of the building. Without any buffering device, the falling speed is like committing suicide by jumping off a building. But how could Miss 2B commit suicide? The reason why he descended from the sky so unscrupulously was because of something very simple: strength. On the other side, in the secret base of SHIELD, Nick Fury looked solemnly at the intelligence information handed over by Natasha Romanoff. Has the sign of Banner been found? At Imperial University? 5 minutes ago, yes. Natasha Romanoff said solemnly. 5 minutes ago. What do you mean? Run away now. It's not that he escaped, but that he has transformed, and now General Ross's people are looking for him all over the world. She has always been in charge of the task of Banner. In fact, as early as in Brazil, she had already been in contact with Banner once. However, to her request to let Banner join the Avengers, Banner directly refused. And for her disturbing his peaceful life, Banner was particularly unhappy and angry. And what she was most worried about was Banner's anger. After all, this man was a guy who would turn into an irrational monster when he was angry. So in the process of contacting Banner, she tried her best to keep her calm and try not to make the other party angry. However, not everyone has such patience, and General Ross, who has been tracking Hulk for years, has always wanted to capture Hulk and use the serum on his body to create a powerful super soldier army. Years of tracking had made him lose all patience with Hulk. The only thing he thinks about is how to capture Hulk as quickly as possible to build the super soldier army he wants. In order to achieve this goal, he sent the ace soldier in the army, Bronski, to capture Hulk. But what he never expected was that Bronski's thirst for power had reached a perverted level. He even injected Hulk serum without the consent of his colonel. Finally, Bronski got the power he had always dreamed of. But his image has also undergone earth-shaking changes, turning into a monster whose body file size is no weaker than Hulk. And this monster is another classic villain in the Marvel world, Hate. Over the central block of New York, an armed helicopter hovered in the air. General Ross looked angrily at the two monsters fighting fiercely in the block below. Damn Bronski, the traitor, disobeying my orders and injecting Hulk serum. General Ross roared angrily. Bronski was originally his trump card, the weapon he used to capture the Hulk and get the Hulk serum. But now, the weapon in his hand has directly betrayed him, swallowed the Hulk serum privately, and became an uncontrollable monster like Hulk. This is equivalent to disrupting all his plans for this period of time. How could he not be angry? Shoot, kill him for me, General Ross said through gritted teeth, his eyes full of ruthlessness. Who to kill? Hearing General Ross's words, the soldier beside him asked curiously. "Zero, that yellow guy, shoot me," General Ross said angrily. Having said that, he started directly, grabbed the handle of the machine gun himself, and the hatred towards the bottom was a ferocious sudden. The hatred, who was fighting Hulk, was suddenly swept away by a burst of machine guns. Although the rough-skinned and fleshy body did not suffer any substantial damage. But ordinary people are still angry when they are bitten by mosquitoes. Not to mention hatred. The fierce eyes turned quickly, and the position of General Ross was locked in an instant. Immediately, murderous auras surged into the sky. "Ross, you are courting death." An icy and ruthless voice roared out of the mouth of hatred, grabbed a small car, and threw it directly at General Ross. The car was as fast as a cannonball, and General Ross couldn't react at all. The entire armed helicopter was hit with a bang and began to spin and fall in midair. Just at the critical moment when the helicopter was about to fall, General Ross jumped out of the plane in a very thrilling way, which saved his life. However, his few soldiers did not have such good luck. With the explosion of the helicopter, they were completely swallowed by the raging fire. Looking at the helicopter that was blown up by Bronsky with just one hit, General Ross was stunned. The strength of this guy seems to be no less than Hulk. But after a while his eyes were full of excitement, which showed that his guess was right. As long as he can get the Hulk serum, he will be able to create more super warriors with strength like Abomination. And given him a little time, he believed that this shortcoming of hatred and Hulk's disobedience could be overcome. Imagine having an army of super soldiers who are obedient and abhorrent. What a scene that will be! Excitement, anticipation, and other emotions filled his heart, making his body tremble uncontrollably. Just when he was thinking like this, the furious hatred was like a human-shaped chariot, rushing at high speed from a distance. A few hundred meters away, under the feet of hate, only a few jumps. In the blink of an eye, he came to General Ross. Looking at General Ross in front of him, a sneer appeared on his hateful face. "Ross, I see you've been upset for a long time." After saying that, Hate raised his clenched fists high, intending to beat General Ross to a pulp. But at this moment, a black shadow fell from the sky like a meteorite. Boom, boom. The earth-shattering sound of the impact suddenly sounded, and a deep pit with a diameter of several meters appeared on the ground. The surrounding of the deep pit is full of cracks, spreading continuously for more than 10 meters. And now, in the center of the deep pit, a woman with 2 swords on her back patted the dust off her body and said with disgust, "I won't do this next time. It's too easy to get my clothes dirty. It takes too much time to wash clothes when I go home like this. This greatly affects my tutoring of the young master's homework." 35 This mumbling was incompatible with the woman who was full of chills at the moment. If it's not to be, who else could it be? Reward report comments. Chapter 72 Hate. Are you good at fighting? What if you are good at fighting? Please order 1. Looking at the strange woman who suddenly fell in front of him, a hint of suspicion appeared on his disgusted face. Looking coldly at 2B in front of him, the hatred forgot to kill General Ross in front of him. And General Ross did take advantage of the moment of hatred and stunned to escape from here quickly. Although Ross is arrogant and extremely ambitious, he is not a conceited guy. Faced with hatred, if you don't run away, you will be a real fool. Therefore, he must escape. His precious life can't be lost here. He still needs to build his own super soldier army. His ambition has not been realized. How can he die? Seeing General Ross fleeing like a bereaved dog, a mocking look appeared on his disgusted face. In front of him, General Ross always looked aloof and arrogant. It was as if everything was within his grasp. Bronsky used to think he was arrogant enough, but compared to General Ross, it's just a dwarf. And just like this, he hated General Ross more and more, because he doesn't like someone pretending to be 10 in front of him. And it's natural to pretend to be more powerful than yourself. This is the red line. Unfortunately, General Ross stepped on it. He didn't kill him before because his strength was not enough. and he still needed to find Hulk with the help of General Ross and get the Hulk serum. Yes, General Ross took Bronsky as a pawn in his hands. And why didn't Bronsky use General Ross as a tool of his own use? Shaked his head and sneered. General Ross must die today, and no one can save him, what he said. So, let him live a little longer like a lost dog, it doesn't matter. Right now, he must first find out whether the woman in front of him is an enemy or a friend, because he actually felt a dangerous aura from this woman. This breath was no stronger than Hulk, who was running towards him from behind. But no matter who this woman is, if she dares to oppose her, then there is only one fate waiting for her, and that is death. Have you seen enough? At this moment, the woman who had been dusting her clothes suddenly raised her head. Because the woman was wearing a strange black eye patch, he couldn't see the woman's eyes. But even so, he could still guess what kind of terrifying light was emitting from the eyes under the blindfold. However, in the face of such an imposing Miss 2B, the hatred of the extremely crazy desire to fight not only did not retreat, on the contrary, an unparalleled fighting intent erupted in his eyes. You must know that when he was only injected with an ordinary strengthening potion, he dared to face Hulk head-on, and desperately challenged Hulk, although he was kicked out by Hulk in the end. But that's enough to show how crazy Bronsky is. And now Bronsky was injected with Hulk serum and turned into a powerful monster comparable to Hulk. Hulk serum is also a mutant product that tries to replicate the super soldier serum. So it, like the super soldier serum, has the effect of amplifying the personality traits of the injector. The righteous become more brilliant and the wicked become more evil. And after Bronsky, who was eager to fight, was injected with Hulk serum, his desire to fight was amplified to an unimaginable level of madness. In this way, there is an immediate reaction. Feeling the strong fighting spirit in hatred, Miss 2B's face showed a hint of surprise. Then it turned into a joke. A guy who is not afraid of himself. Interesting. Seeing me, I didn't even run. You seem to be very good at fighting, right? However, how can you fight? When you come out to mix, what matters is the background. This, you don't seem to have. Miss 2B smiled coldly. With graceful steps, he walked directly towards the hatred. The whole body is dark yellow. It seems that you are the guy who can be beaten to death by the young master. 35 Looking at the woman in front of her who was walking toward her leisurely court, her hatred filled her heart with anger. It's okay to say that he doesn't have a background. After all, this is the truth. He really doesn't have a background. He was able to get to where he is today because of his hard work step by step. Trained hard in the army, slowly from a soldier to a special forces. Then he was promoted from the special forces to become the king of soldiers that no one knows about in the army, with the ability to fight alone, a veritable ranking first. After that, he was recruited by General Ross and started his career. So there is no background to this, he admits. However, this woman even said that she would kill herself. This is blatant provocation. In his long life, it was the first time he heard someone say such arrogant words in front of him. Kill yourself. Simply insane. Court death. In an instant, a decision was made in his heart. This strange woman who suddenly stands in front of her is an enemy. Since it is an enemy, kill it. All the guys who get in the way are going to die. The woman in front of him, General Ross, and Hulk, who was charging at him from behind. It's all the same. Then, according to the principle of proximity, start with the woman in front of you. Thinking like this, a ray of light erupted in his eyes. Without further ado, clenched fists. Directly towards Miss 2B in front of her. His punch is enough to easily explode dozens of tons of huge force. Therefore, with one punch, most of the matter in this world will be shattered by his fist. In this way, there is no need to talk about a woman in 587. In his eyes, Miss 2B in front of her is already a dead man. However, what he didn't expect was that the woman in front of him clearly saw the fist he threw violently. but her body didn't even mean to hide. Not only that, but she even stretched out her white jade-like palm towards her. This woman actually wanted to block her angry fist with this. Provocative. This is blatant provocation. You're courting death. The hatred was furious, and the fist was already in front of Miss 2B. Then it smashed heavily on Miss 2B's fair palm. He thought his fist could break through Miss 2B's one-handed block. But the cruel reality told him not what he thought, but what Miss 2B thought. At this moment, he only felt that his fist was hitting a huge amount of King Kong Mountain. The incomparably hard, incomparably thick giant mountain actually made him unable to shake it. The violent wind from the giant force made Miss 2B's short silver hair dance, and the dust behind her also flew into the sky. But Miss 2B's body remains unmoved. That's it. At this moment, Miss 2B's mocking voice sounded like a sharp blade piercing her hatred. This is called worrying. Reward report comments. Chapter 73 Punching Hate, Sword Stabbing Hulk. You can and amp #039T do it. Please order one. As if he couldn't believe it, a look of astonishment appeared on his hated face. Blocked. This woman actually blocked her giant fist with ease. Still, with such an understatement, how is this possible? There was a huge wave in his heart, and he guessed that the strength of the woman in front of him should not be too weak. But he never guessed that the other party was so powerful. Even if he can knock the opponent out of the punch, he can accept it. What does it mean to stay still? Could it be that his own strength is so insignificant in front of this woman in front of him? This is totally unscientific. I already hated the reality that I couldn't accept. After hearing Miss 2B's that's it. Even more embarrassed and angry, a monstrous anger rose in his heart. This scene seems familiar. At first he was just injecting ordinary strengthening medicine. When playing against Hulk, Hulk looked down on him so much. In other words, the gap between you and the woman in front of you is the same as the gap between you and Hulk before. Impossible, absolutely impossible. Now that he has been injected with Hulk serum, his strength is above Hulk. He has always thought so, and he still thinks so now. As if not believing, Hate retracted his giant fist and then pulled back violently. When he pulled his arms back to the limit that he could pull, the whole thing looked like a bow that drew a full moon. Then, huge amounts of iron fist once again blasted towards the front of Miss 2B. This punch is different from just now. This is his full blow. With a strength of more than 100 tons, he has the confidence to pierce through a building. So the fate of this woman in front of me will definitely not be very good. He thought so. Just as he raised his fist and blasted it out, a look of disdain appeared on Miss 2B's face. However, she did not move as still as before. This time, she moved. She clenched her fist, crackling, and a force that seemed to be able to blast through the sky bloomed in Miss 2B's fist. He also punched the hatred in front of him. In an instant, two fists, one large and one small, collided in mid-air. Boom. A terrifying collision sounded suddenly, and a shockwave like an ocean wave erupted from the surface of the two's fists. Boom tilde shockwave swept away towards the surrounding, flying sand and stone, destroying the dead. And swept out together, there is also a huge body of hatred. Yes, in the instant after the collision, Abomination found that an unparalleled force poured out from the fist of the woman in front of him. In the moment, he felt that what was standing in front of him was not a woman, but a bottomless, rushing, giant river with rushing waves and galloping horses. On the other hand, he was a helpless boat, and in front of the turbulent river, he had no choice but to retreat. The strange force rushing in like a wild wave directly swallowed him up and flew away, nothing left. Hey! Sounded. The body of Disgust was like a kite with a broken string, and like a cannonball, it flew over 100 meters and smashed into a building, without any movement. Slowly closing her fists, a playful smile appeared on Miss 2B's face. 100 tons? Is it a giant force? Her body has been strengthened with the enhanced super soldier serum, which has given her a strength comparable to that of Hulk. In addition to this, there is a black technology that defies the sky in her body, a permanent energy furnace. With a permanent energy furnace, she has constant energy. As long as she increases the power of the energy furnace a little, her power will increase exponentially, reaching a terrifying level. Even if it was a building, she could lift it up. In this case, what is the power of a mere 100 tons? Exclamation and abomination. What is it? It's just a basic operation to knock it out. Roll it over. Is there a problem? Absolutely no problem. Just as Miss 2B smashed the hatred out with one punch, the angry Hulk was running wildly from a distance. His goal was hatred, but what he didn't expect was that just as he arrived, hatred turned into an afterimage and flew out. Then he smashed into a building 100 meters away, looking extremely miserable. He was stunned. I haven't even shot. Why did you fall? His eyes moved quickly, and finally fell on Miss 2B. Suddenly his heart pounded, and there was an unparalleled sense of danger. It made him feel incredible. Since transforming into Hulk, he no longer knows what it's like to be afraid. Before the transformation, Banner was hiding, and after the transformation, Hulk was the best in the world. That's the best way to describe Dr. Banner. But at this moment, Hulk, who had always felt that he was number one in the world, was not surprised and a little stunned. One punch, just one punch sent the hated upside down and flew out 100 meters away. He asked himself that he couldn't do it. Even in the battle with Abomination just now, he was hit by Abomination on his head. The old face was almost lost, and it was precisely because of this that he was extremely angry and vowed to find his way back. Only then did he continue to run towards the hatred. But he didn't expect it to be such a scene. While he was still in a daze, the woman's gaze was locked on him. Hulk, the guy that the young master said can be disabled, you are here too. Miss 2B patted the dust on her body, raised her legs and walked towards Hulk very elegantly. To be more precise, she was walking in the direction of hatred, but Hulk stood in her way. So there is no other way but to clear the obstacles in front of you first, and then take a good look at whether the hatred is dead. The order given by the young master is that he must die, so she must do it. Otherwise, when I go home at night and there is no reward, what should I do? Seeing Miss 2B walking towards him, Hulk was full of questions. This woman actually said that she was going to maim herself. But why? Hulk, like an underdeveloped mentally child, made a terrifying roar at 2B. This represented his anger, but also his doubts. However, Miss 2B is not in the mood to answer his questions, but she can respond to his anger. Yelling at Miss Ben? Find a fight. Miss 2B's face suddenly became cold as she thought. Immediately, the force under his feet slammed, the ground cracked, and a deep pit appeared. Miss 2B turned into an afterimage and disappeared. When she appeared again, she was already in front of Hulk. A long sword stabbed at Hulk's right shoulder with overwhelming power. The speed was unbelievably fast, and even Hulk was in no hurry to dodge. Immediately, there was a pop. Known as the indestructible Hulk, it can resist the green skin of shelling. Under the long sword of Miss 2B, there is only a hole in it. The bloodthirsty longsword spikes pierced Hulk's back with a streak of crimson blood. The terrifying force knocked Hulk upside down, and was pinned to the wall of the building behind by Miss 2B. The pain came from Hulk's right shoulder, causing him to roar in pain. Chinese letter exclamation Chinese letter 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 Chinese letter. Dude B Chinese letter 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 HULK Chinese letter Chinese letter Chinese letter. It threw him out directly, like the hatred just now, and smashed into the ruins in the distance. In an instant, the whole world seemed to be quiet, and Miss 2B's eyes moved to the direction of hatred again. It's time to end this farce. Thinking like this, Miss 2B raised her legs and continued to walk gracefully in the direction of hatred. A fist blows the hatred, life and death do not know. A sword that pierces the indestructible body of Hulk. Then, like throwing a sandbag, Hulk was also thrown into the air. Looking at such a scene, General Ross, who was hiding in a building, had a dull expression. Like a ghost, unbelievable. No one knows Hulk's strength better than him. After years of tracking, he has already understood Hulk's physical condition thoroughly. Beyond the gigantic force of 100 tons, the power can continue to grow with anger. The indestructible body can resist even the bombardment of artillery shells. Like I&amp perverted self-healing ability and immunity to all poisons made him include Hulk among the most terrifying monsters in the world. As for the abomination injected with Hulk's serum, although he didn't know much about it, he still remembered the scene of the abomination being beaten by Hulk just now. Since the hatred can do this, it means that the strength of hatred is definitely not worse than the current Hulk, or even stronger. Definitely, the battle between them was quite short, and it was hard for him to say who was stronger or weaker. But one thing can be confirmed, that is, hatred, like Hulk, is a monster with far more strength than ordinary people. But now these two monsters, in front of that mysterious woman, can't even hold a single move. One punched flying, one sword pierced. How this doesn't shock him. His guts were about to burst with fright. This woman is a monster who crawled out of that abyss. Grim. Yes, Hulk and Abomination are monsters in General Ross' eyes. And Miss 2B is an abyss monster. The two are the difference between heaven and earth. After the shock, he looked at Miss 2B with crazy greed. If you can get this woman's serum, then Ross didn't dare to think about it any longer, because he was worried that his heart would not be able to take it. Reward Report Comments. Chapter 74 Cow Criticism, Disgust, Death. Subscribe. If Miss 2B at this moment knew, after seeing her strength. General Ross dared to pay attention to himself. I don't know how he would feel. Rockefeller Family Estate. In the huge living room, Locke spread his legs and hands and leaned on the sofa. With an excited smile on his face. Definitely, his smile wasn't because of the commander's eldest sister who was kneeling in front of him, but because of Miss 2B. This time, although he did not turn on the remote manual control mode, but through the anti-gravity drone suspended beside Miss 2B, he clearly saw everything that happened in the center of New York City. After reading it, there was only one word of evaluation in his mind. That is, bull batch. Broken sound as expected of Miss 2B, who is equipped with a permanent energy furnace. With such combat power, it is no weaker than no 18 in the Dragon Ball world, or even stronger. Because Miss 2B's body has also been strengthened by the enhanced super soldier serum. In terms of physical fitness, he has reached the limit that Locke can currently improve. If he continues to develop an energy launch device for Miss 2B, it will be the 18th of the 2587B version. But Locke didn't do that. Miss 2B is Miss 2B, and no, 18 is no, 18. The two are completely different characters. No, 18 of the 2B version. The donkey's lips are not the horse's mouth. Isn't it messy? At that time, Miss 2B will help him with his homework. If he calls the wrong teacher's name, it will be embarrassing. As the battle on Miss 2B's side came to an end, so did Locke's side. The hands that were originally spread out on the sofa unconsciously pressed the head of the commander's elder sister. New York's Shanxing district. Wearing a black Gothic cape, Miss 2B walked gracefully, dragging her long sword on the ground. The sharp edge of the sword rubbed against the hard concrete floor, and sparks splashed around, making jingle bells. The movement of this voice is not very big, but at this moment, in the ears of hatred, it is like the sigh of death god. The long sword was clearly dragging on the hard concrete floor, but it seemed to be pulling on his heart. It made him feel unbearable pain, but he couldn't speak. His throat seemed to be restrained by an invisible force. but he clearly knew that there was no invisible force to restrain his throat. The reason why he had such a reaction was because of the unparalleled fear in his heart. Fear. What an unfamiliar word. How many years has he not felt it? He hasn't been afraid of anything since he joined the Marine Corps when he was young. Because in his subconscious, everything can be controlled by him, and nothing can hurt him. For him, the brave are fearless, and anything is possible. It is precisely because of this that he was able to go all the way to where he is today. But when he reached his peak, not only did he not despise everything as always. Instead, I felt a long-lost fear. Shame, this is my own great shame. It is also a blasphemy against one's own fearless courage. This made him extremely unhappy and extremely angry. The more you have, the more you fear losing? No, it's not me that cowardly, worrying about gain and loss. I am the fearless Mad Bronsky, I am the invincible abomination, kill. The fist smashed by Miss 2B's punch, the broken ribs healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. With difficulty and staggering, he slowly stood up from the ruins, and a look of resoluteness burst out from the eyes of hatred. He lived to fight and he will die to fight. Fear and fear of this negative thing, all go away. Looking at the hatred slowly standing up from the ruins, Miss 2B's eyes showed a touch of admiration. Although it is an enemy and an object that needs to be eliminated, the unyielding fighting will of Bakp is the strongest she has ever seen since her birth. She seems to already know why her master Locke wants to clear this guy by herself. Since he is an enemy of this guy, if he doesn't cut the grass and root, he will definitely fight back with his personality. Obviously, her clever young master would not do such a stupid thing. And of course she wouldn't do it anymore. You are an excellent fighter. Seeing your fearless courage, I decided to give you a treat. Miss 2B slowly picked up the long sword that was dragging on the ground, then leaned in front of her and made a strange fighting posture. Hearing Miss 2B's words, Abomination let out an unwilling and angry roar. I'm going to tear your mouth. Kill. The voice fell to the ground, and I hated the force under my feet, like a humanoid chariot rushing fiercely towards Miss 2B. One collision, he risked his own life, because he knew how powerful and terrifying the woman in front of him was. But you are strong, and I will not accept it. Daddy is going to do it. If you kill me, I will do it too. Gan. 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 An insane belief burst out in his heart. In order to experience the ultimate fighting experience, this life is not worth it. Seeing the hatred rushing towards him like a madman, Miss 2B's face showed a touch of disdain, self-mumbling. Wants to tear my mouth. What a rude idea. My mouth is to be used by the young master to help him with his homework, so I can't tear it up. Master's things, no one can take it away from me. Let me tear you apart. The voice fell, and Miss 2B looked coldly at the hatred rushing towards her. The hand holding the hilt of the sword twisted lightly, and the sword body wing roared. The long sword that had been placed obliquely in front of her disappeared like a black lightning bolt along with her body. The silver light burst out, like a white meteor piercing the night sky, passing by the hated side. When the figure of Miss 2B appeared again, she had already come to the back of hatred. Slowly retract the long sword you just swung to the front. A drop of dark red blood fell from the blade of the sword, creating a beautiful picture on the ground. On the other side, the hatred that had just roared in anger stood motionless, like a statue. Immediately, blood spurted out from the hated neck, and a huge head rolled down with wide eyes of horror and disbelief. The tall and sturdy body also collapsed suddenly, splashing a piece of dust. Self-proclaimed invincible hatred, that's all, die. If it looks good, ask for some flower reviews and monthly tickets. Although it is on the shelves, the data is also very important. Trouble, continue to code. At least there are 3 more. Reward report comments. Chapter 75 Ani, Physical Sleep, Weird Natasha Romanoff. Subscribe. Seeing the abomination that collapsed, Miss 2B raised her hand and waved. and the long sword in her hand flew back to her back automatically. Quietly suspended there, like a weapon guarding this side of the world, the suffocation is soaring to the sky. Master to be Miss Sister saw, the weapon is evil, the perfect match. Just after the hatred fell, Hulk was also restless. Rage's roar came from the ruins, earth shattering, and the surrounding glass was shattered. Listening to this angry roar, Miss 2B frowned slightly, and there was a touch of irritability on her face. She didn't like this disturbing noise. As usual, at this time, she was already holding the young master was sleeping. Breaking sleep time, still so noisy. Do you still have a sense of public morality? Displeased in his heart, he exerted a force on his feet, and the whole person left the ground and came to Hulk at a lightning speed. The wound on Hulk's right shoulder was more than half healed, and he could be completely healed if he just gave him a little more time. As expected of the existence of the surface-level peak, such a self-healing speed is really terrible. But at this moment, a black afterimage galloped from outside the ruins, like a shooting star. Before he could react, he slammed into his face with devastating power. When the shadow approached, he could see clearly that the shadow hitting his face was Miss 2B. No, to be more precise, it's Miss 2B's knees wearing high heels. The knees covered in black vibranium slammed into Hulk's face. If there is a slow-motion playback at this moment, you can clearly see how the fat on Hulk's face is shaking and stirring. Along with it, a big white tooth fell to the ground. In an instant, Hulk felt as if his head had been hit by the head of a speeding high-speed train. Immediately, his head fell back, and he fell straight down. The originally sturdy body was shrinking at a speed visible to the naked eye, and it turned back to the appearance of Dr. Banner. A monster as strong as Hulk was actually beaten by Miss 2B's knee and lost its transformation state. This is really a physical sleep aid. It's finally quiet. Looking at Dr. Banner, who was limp and unconscious on the ground, Miss 2B nodded with satisfaction and said lightly, after everything was done, the anti-gravity flight device behind Miss 2B opened with a bang, turning into a pair of black mechanical wings, and she planned to leave here. But at this moment, the blindfolded eyes suddenly looked at a building not far away. At the same time, several Apache helicopters appeared around Miss 2B with a roar of their propellers. However, they didn't do anything to Miss 2B, they just wandered around. It felt as if he had received some kind of order and was waiting around. In fact, they did receive an order, and it was also the order of General Ross. And this order happened to be intercepted by Artificial Intelligence 9s and then told Miss 2B. This is also the main reason why Miss 2B suddenly stopped and left at this moment. SHIELD, suspended above the sky carrier at an altitude of 10,000 meters, a group of people looked at the screen in front of them with extremely solemn expressions. On the screen, it was Miss 2B who singled out Abomination and Hulk. At this moment, the people in front of the screen all opened their mouths and looked dumbfounded. The big mouths that were opened were able to stuff their own fists. This shows how shocked they are at this moment. They are no strangers to SHIELD, the Jinbing building incident and the Killing Pierce incident. They already knew about the strength of Miss 2B. It's just that the combat effectiveness evaluation they gave to Miss 2B at the beginning is completely inaccurate at this moment. Because the strength of this terrifying woman in front of her has improved again, and it has risen to an unimaginable level. It was so terrifying to be able to easily crush Hulk. A man hangs hate and Hulk. Am I crazy, or is the world crazy? Is this woman crazy? Is this still a carbon-based creature? It's terrifying. The scariest thing is that this woman has a bad attitude towards our SHIELD. If she's going to be our enemy, it's our nightmare. Phil Coulson said with a very solemn expression. 0 for flowers. It's not just this woman, the guy behind her is even more so, as if there is a deep grudge with us. Natasha Romanoff also said with a complicated face. And the guy she was referring to was naturally Locke. When it came to Locke, the scenes that happened that night appeared in her mind unconsciously. The long leather whip, the soft sofa, and that she really didn't dare to continue to recall, and the burning feeling appeared in her back unconsciously. Immediately, her body became weak, her legs were a little weak, and she was almost unsteady. He couldn't help but support the desk in front of him with both hands. Natasha Romanoff, what's wrong with you? Seeing Natasha Romanoff's sudden abnormal reaction, the Hill agent beside her quickly supported her. It's okay. I didn't sleep well yesterday. I went to the bathroom, Natasha Romanoff said and walked quickly towards the bathroom. Looking at Natasha Romanoff, who was leaving quickly, the Hill agent's face was full of curiosity. I didn't sleep well yesterday. What does it have to do with going to the bathroom? Since the last time he came back from the Rockefeller estate, he thought Natasha Romanoff had been weird. But Natasha Romanoff is an 8th level agent. She doesn't say it, she must have her reasons. In the private lounge, Natasha Romanoff turned her back to the mirror, then turned her head to look quietly at the back of her clothes. There was a tattoo mark on her back at the waist level. This tattoo is exactly what that damn little bastard tattooed her at the Rockefeller Manor. The content of the tattoo is not much, just 2 words. Combined, it's Locke. Yes, Locke's name was engraved on her back waist high. Damn little bastard, one day I will kill you. His fists were clenched, and his mind was full of the humiliation of the day. But for some reason, every time she thinks of that scene, her strongest emotion is not anger. It's an indescribable feeling. I seem to have no real hatred for that 14-year-old boy. Raising his hand and gently stroking the name behind him, a strange feeling suddenly appeared. Damn, here it comes. Nye. Reward report comments. Chapter 76 The Lifeless General Ross. Someone else is going to suffer. Subscribe. In the command room of the Sky Carrier, SHIELD Director Nick Fury, who had just recovered from a serious injury, was sitting in a wheelchair dragging his injured leg, staring intently at Miss 2B on the screen. As if he hadn't heard the words of the surrounding group of subordinates, his face was extremely gloomy, because only he himself knows how terrifying the 14-year-old genius of the Rockefeller family is. He is an unscrupulous and lawless lunatic. Neither their SHIELD's strength nor their SHIELD's rights could support him to do something about Locke. The worst part is that this guy seems to be very dissatisfied with their SHIELD's behavior, and even more dissatisfied with himself. It seems that he has never offended that guy. In addition to secretly sending Natasha Romanoff to investigate his little girlfriend. But even so, they didn't do anything bad to the girl, it was just an investigation. For a special May 87 armed organization tasked with protecting the world, it is quite normal for him to investigate a person and determine whether he is a threat. But such a thing turned into an untouchable scale in the eyes of that guy. And he paid a terrible price for it. Thinking of these, his heart is very uncomfortable. If only Locke had no hostility towards them and was willing to accept their SHIELD's invitation. After all, this powerful woman in front of him is an existence that even he is jealous of. If only this woman could join them, be one of them. Then their SHIELD will not have to worry at all when they face other threats in the future. With this woman around, they are like having a patron saint. But the imagination is beautiful, but the reality is extremely cruel. The woman in front of her will not only not be the patron saint of their SHIELD, but may even declare war on them. Thinking of that scene, Roushi couldn't help but panic. Looking at his injured leg, he sighed with a complicated expression. His right hand stroked the beeping machine in his pocket. Maybe it's time for you to press it. Nick Fury thought so. Why did this woman suddenly stop moving, and what happened to the group of gunships? At this moment, Nick Fury looked at the screen with a solemn expression and said, based on what they had seen before, the woman was planning to leave. But she stopped suddenly, and several gunships sped towards her. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something, and his face was extremely ugly. Damn Ross, what is he trying to do? Crazy? To put your mind on this woman? Stop him, stop him. Nick Fury said with a very solemn expression. He never thought that this guy, General Ross, would attack the female killer in front of him. This is simply courting death. Not to mention that this woman is strong enough to fight against this guy. It is just that this woman is standing behind the behemoth of the Rockefeller family, and he should not have such a stupid idea. In his impression, although General Ross is a reckless man, he is an extremely crazy guy. But he is not stupid. He is still clear about who can and cannot be touched. But at this moment, General Ross's performance is simply confused, a complete mystery. Wait, unless damn, doesn't this guy still know who this woman is? Nick Fury said speechlessly. It must be, and only in this way, will he dare to put his mind on this woman. After all, for Liu Lun, who has been chasing Hulk for several years, he doesn't care how terrifying his opponent's original strength is. The more powerful Miss 2B will only make him even more crazy. To catch Hulk is to catch, and to catch the woman in front of him is also to catch. And the strength of the woman in front of her is stronger. If he could get her serum, he might be able to create an army of super soldiers stronger than Hulk. To build a super soldier army strong enough to be invincible for the beautiful country army, but the ideal he has been pursuing all his life. What's the point of taking a little risk for your own ideals? At this moment, General Ross thinks and does so. What he didn't know was that in addition to being powerful, the woman in front of him was also a member of the Rockefeller family. If he had known this, he might not have dared to do so. After all, the Rockefeller family can even interfere in their country's presidential election. If his little colonel offended them, it would be trivial to let him be laid off every minute. It's okay to lose your life, but if you lose your identity as a colonel, you can't let yourself achieve your ideals. This is not okay. It has to be said that the guy who was able to recruit Bronsky, a lunatic, was originally a lunatic. General Ross in front of him is a good example. He is a lunatic. But General Ross doesn't know the identity of Miss 2B, but Nick Fury does. And he and General Ross are colleagues. In this way, he naturally couldn't watch General Ross get confused. He also didn't want General Ross to die because he went to provoke Miss 2B. And that's just one of them. There's another, more important reason. That is the identity of Colonel Ross, representing the military of their beautiful country. In this way, once the military became an enemy in the eyes of the 14-year-old genius boy, he could not imagine the consequences. Understood. Start the Kun-style fighter immediately and rush to support. Commander Hill immediately issued an order. As the order was issued, the two Kun-style fighter jets on the sky carrier immediately took off, and then rushed towards the position of Miss 2B at supersonic speed. New York City Center neighborhood. Miss 2B, who originally planned to leave immediately, put away the anti-gravity flight device behind her with a sneer. He stared coldly at the gunship surrounding his flight. "Do you want to arrest me? It seems that someone thinks his life is too long." Miss 2B muttered to herself. A terrifying aura erupted from her body, and the eyes under the blindfold were full of killing intent. Because of the intelligence tip that Nines intercepted just now, in this place, there is a guy who wants to arrest him. This guy is none other than General Ross, who hated and planned to kill him before. Her previous orders were to kill Abomination and maim Hulk, and the mission did not mention General Ross. So she didn't care about the life and death of General Ross. But what she didn't expect was that in her eyes, if General Ross, like an ant, would secretly make up his mind at this moment. In her cognition, she is the private property of Master Locke, and making her own ideas is the Master's ideas. According to the regulations of the robot code, she is obliged to protect her young master from any harm. So, this guy called General Ross 2.1 has to be eliminated. His eyes moved to the building not far away, and the guy named General Ross was hiding there. "Since you want to die, I'll do it for you," Miss 2B said as she walked leisurely in the direction of the building. In the building, General Ross, who was hiding in the dark, couldn't help but be startled that the woman had already found herself. But he didn't panic. In order to hunt down Hulk before, he had obtained a lot of powerful equipment. These items were originally intended for Hulk. Now that Hulk has been resolved, then he had to use all these weapons and equipment on the woman in front of him. Raise your hand, you have been surrounded, and quickly be investigated. At this moment, a shout came from the gunship. Hearing this voice, the corner of Miss 2B's mouth slightly raised, revealing a charming smile. Someone is going to suffer again. Chapter 77. Shocked General Ross must apologize and plead guilty. Goodbye, Natasha Romanoff. As a group of powerful soldiers who have seen Miss 2B, after shouting, he couldn't help swallowing, inwardly apprehensive. If they had a choice, there are 10,000 of them who are unwilling to be the enemy of Miss 2B. But they are soldiers, as the so-called military orders are like a mountain. In front of the order, even if the monster standing in front of them is a shocking monster, they still need to face it bravely. Yes, the reason why they shouted at Miss 2B was because they received an order from General Ross. I hope this woman will not shoot us directly after hearing our shouting. We have no ill intentions, it's just a routine investigation. Then why are you still standing there? Add it quickly, don't be misunderstood by her, or we will die. Several soldiers communicated with each other, and their eyes were full of horror. Yes, yes, add it. The shouting soldier nodded again and again, pointed at the communicator, and continued. Please cooperate with our actions, don't misunderstand, we are just conducting a routine investigation. However, no matter how you listen to this sentence, it feels a little redundant and very strange. As the special forces of the beautiful country, they were not arrogant in their previous actions. It's really the first time to be so ruthless and restrained as this moment. 10. Obviously, these soldiers were really panicking. Hearing the shouts of the soldiers, General Ross, who was hiding in the building, looked extremely ugly. A group of rubbish subordinates, they are military people, and they represent the majesty of the beautiful country. Acting so cowardly at the moment, this is simply trolling their country. Listening to the shouts of the soldiers, Miss 2B sneered and muttered to herself. Unfortunately, it's too late. After all, the anti-gravity drone suspended beside Miss 2B immediately burst out with a terrifying laser beam. The astonishingly powerful laser light was like a long knife, slicing through the armed helicopters in an instant. Boom! The explosion sounded suddenly, and the armed helicopters exploded in midair, like gorgeous fireworks, looking beautiful and moving. Looking at such a scene, General Ross, who was hiding in the building, looked extremely ugly. After they revealed their military identities, this woman still shot them unscrupulously. This is because they don't take their military seriously at all, and the majesty of the military cannot be provoked. Whoever you are, I will take you down. That's what Hulk was back in the day, and so is you, woman. 2nd Special Forces. Start the battle immediately, activate the sonic weapon, and take this arrogant woman down for me. 35. General Ross continued to give his orders to the communicator in his hand. In order to capture Hulk, he did not only have Bronski's card, but also had many extremely advanced and terrifying weapons in his hands. It was precisely because of such a weapon that he had the courage to challenge Hulk. Now it's just that this challenging character has been replaced by the woman in front of him. For him, there has not been much change, it is a battle anyway. The moment the order was issued, the armored vehicles that had already been deployed around immediately emerged from various streets. In an instant, a dozen or so armored vehicles surrounded Miss 2B. Above each armored vehicle is a radar-like thing. But that thing wasn't radar, it was a sonic weapon that General Ross prepared for Hulk. At first, he almost took Hulk down with just 2 sonic weapons. Now he has a total of more than a dozen units here. If they are turned on at the same time, the horror of the power is something that he himself does not dare to imagine. In this way, he has great confidence that he can take down this woman in one fell swoop. Looking at the armored vehicles suddenly appearing from the street, the images of these sonic weapons sent by Nines automatically appeared in my mind. Suddenly, the smile on her face became more wanton. Is this your confidence? Sonic attack. It looks like a good weapon. 99, but after just one glance, Miss 2B took her eyes away from these armored vehicles and continued to walk towards the building not far away in a hurry. Da-da. The long black high-heeled shoes made a crisp crashing sound with the ground, which was particularly clear in the unusually quiet street. These footsteps sounded like they were stepping on the hearts of a group of special forces. At this moment, they have obviously surrounded Miss 2B, but they still have no sense of security in their hearts. Instead, they felt more and more terrified. Just now, the scene of Miss 2B hanging hatred and Hulk unconsciously replayed in their minds. Then I felt a chill in my heart. The woman in front of me could even hang up and fight Hulk. Are these so-called high-tech sonic weapons really useful? A big question number popped up in their hearts. They couldn't help swallowing. Their eyes were extraordinarily tense. Looking at Miss 2B, who had no intention of stopping to accept the investigation, General Ross's face became more and more gloomy. Then, an attack order is to be issued. But at this moment, his communicator rang, and it was a call from the upper level of the military. The phone was connected, and soon a look of shock appeared in his eyes. Looking at Miss 2B in the distance with a complicated face, her head kept moving. The orders on the other end of the phone were simple and firm. Immediately stop all actions, take the initiative to admit mistakes to the other party, and ask for forgiveness. Otherwise, the consequences will be beyond his ability to bear. Because the woman in front of her was inextricably linked to the Rockefeller family. The phone hung up, and General Ross looked gloomy. He didn't expect things to develop so unexpectedly. The guy in front of him, whose strength was astonishingly powerful, turned out to be a member of the Rockefeller family. No matter how crazy he is, he knows the weight of the words Rockefeller family. That is the top keyball family in their country, and their lives in the whole country are inseparable from the influence of the 587 family. As I said before, he is not afraid of death, but he is afraid of losing his position because that is the cornerstone for him to realize his ideal. Without the title of Lieutenant General, a typo in front of the colonel, he is an ordinary little old man, and nothing can be done. And the Rockefeller family is precisely the existence that can easily deprive him of his official position. Although he was extremely unwilling in his heart, he could still distinguish the priorities. The woman in front of him, he must let her go. He is not qualified to shoot at her. Not only that, he also needs to take responsibility for his reckless actions, apologize, and plead guilty. Gritting his teeth with a complicated expression, he still did not issue an order to attack Miss 2B. Since this woman can't move, let's continue to focus on Hulk. Now that Hulk is out of combat, it's time to arrest him. Wanting to understand this, he immediately ordered his subordinates to carry out the mission in secret. But at this moment, 2 Kun-style fighter jets descended from the sky and landed slowly in front of a group of special forces. Immediately, a woman with a sexy and enchanting figure walked off the plane. Looking at this woman, in the Rockefeller manner, Locke, who was holding the commander's head lightly, showed a playful smile on his face. Natasha Romanoff, we meet again. Reward report comments. Chapter 78. This is a misunderstanding? No, this is a provocation. Red Hulk has appeared. Seeing Natasha Romanoff's enchanting figure, Locke remembered the scene in the manor hall that day. The long whip was swung, red marks kept appearing behind Natasha Romanoff, and finally, in the screams, lost. Don't get me wrong, Locke is a dainty man, and he doesn't have much thought for Natasha Romanoff. It was only for the purpose of teaching at first. It just didn't make him think that Natasha Romanoff's physique was special, and even under that circumstance, it could produce special changes. And in order not to make her screams sound too conspicuous, he could only stop her mouth at that time. That's all. So seeing Natasha Romanoff again at this moment, he can't help but think back. I have to say that this woman is indeed a stunner. It's just a pity. Shook his head. I don't know what she will do with the imprint I left behind her back. 35 Locke's face showed a playful smile and said to himself, "You little rascal, what do you think others can handle? You treat them like that, you definitely keep it." At this moment, the commander's elder sister, like a water snake, swam up from below and leaned against Locke's arms. "Oh, how can you see that?" Locke was interested in hugging the commander gently. According to his own thoughts, when he cleaned up Natasha Romanoff so much at the beginning, now she should hate herself completely, and she has the idea of killing herself. In this way, it is impossible for her to leave a mark behind her, because it is a great shame for her. But at this moment, listening to the meaning of the commander's elder sister, it seems that it is different from what he thinks. So, he was naturally curious. Because she is not an ordinary woman, she is a woman with a special physique like me, and I know her. Women like us greatly admire the strong and long to be conquered by the strong. But often women like us don't look down on the vast majority of men, and there are even fewer strong men who can enter our eyes. So once we are fortunate enough to meet, we will do whatever we can to get a relationship with it. So I can be sure that she will stay, because if it were me, I would do the same. 39 The commander's fingers moved gently on Locke's body, and he said with certainty. Locke only felt like there were ants crawling on his body, itchy. He gently hugged the commander's elder sister and said with a smile, "I want to put a mark on your back as you said." Hearing this, the commander smiled slightly, tugged at the tips of his golden hair, and a faint fragrance wafted through his nostrils. The smooth and white back with no flaws was revealed in front of Locke's eyes. "Come, 35 Master, if you think that the tattoo on the back is not enough, other places are also acceptable, you can choose." New York Center Street, looking at the Kun-style fighter jet that suddenly landed in front of her eyes, Miss 2B smiled. Is this someone else trying to die? After all, the anti-gravity auxiliary robot suspended beside her directly aimed at the two Kun-style fighter jets. Once the two Kun-style fighter jets behaved abnormally, she would fire without hesitation and destroy them decisively. But at this moment, Natasha Romanoff hurriedly raised her hands towards her and said sincerely, "Miss 2B, we have no ill intentions. This is a misunderstanding. I'm here to explain. 99 Hearing Natasha Romanoff's words, Miss 2B's face showed a playful look, did not speak. Her legs suddenly exerted force, and her whole body turned into an afterimage and rushed directly into the building in front of her. In front of the powerful and terrifying flesh, the thick walls of the building were like paper, and they couldn't block Miss 2B at all, and they were directly smashed into pieces. In an instant, Miss 2B came to General Ross. At the moment, General Ross looked terrified and his eyes were full of disbelief. This woman is too terrifying, even if she locates his hiding place in an instant. She even came to him with such a violent attitude. This is to scare him to death. Before he could react, the woman in front of him grabbed his neck, and the wind roared. He found himself flying backwards like a kite with a broken string, and finally hit Natasha Romanoff heavily. A mouthful of blood spurted out, and several ribs were broken. He is just an ordinary human being. How can he bear such a heavy fall? He didn't die on the spot. He was already considered strong. Before he could relax, a long sword flew out of the building at high speed, and then like a nail, it fell from the sky, pierced his shoulder heavily, and nailed it to the ground. "Ah!" Heart-piercing screams came from General Ross's mouth. His eyes were bloodshot, extremely miserable. Seeing such a scene, everyone around took a deep breath, and they felt that the long sword was nailed to their bodies. At this time, the beautiful woman who initiated the attack spread out the black mechanical wings behind her. It flew out of the building slowly and landed in front of General Ross and Natasha Romanoff. The calm look of the wind and the clouds formed a sharp contrast with the tense atmosphere around him. It felt as if she wasn't doing what was happening in front of her. Looking at the woman in front of him, a group of General Ross soldiers couldn't help but aim their weapons at Miss 2B. However, their hands were trembling, obviously, their hearts were full of fear. Ignoring the reaction of the group of soldiers around, Miss 2B quietly looked at Natasha Romanoff in front of her and said, "What do you mean by misunderstanding is this guy?" 99. He raised his hand to hold the long sword that pierced through General Ross and then slowly drew it out. Ah! The painful screams reappeared. You! 35. Seeing Miss 2B's brutal appearance, Natasha Romanoff couldn't help but be shocked, and her eyes were full of horror. As expected of the goddess of slaughter that they judged as a SSS-level threat, this method is perverted like the man behind her. Sorry, it's not a misunderstanding in my opinion. After seeing my strength, the guy who dares to be unfavorable to me, I can definitely think that he is provocative. Even if it is a provocateur, there is only one fate, and that is death. After all, Miss 2B's long sword will cut off General Ross's head. But what she didn't expect was that the seriously injured General Ross rolled out at this moment and rolled in front of a tube of green potion not far away. Then, without the slightest hesitation, he picked up the green medicine needle and stabbed it into his chest. In an instant, a scream resounded throughout the entire block from General Ross's mouth. At the same time, General Ross's body was expanding at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the blink of an eye, a red monster with a height of more than 3 meters and muscles like a horned dragon appeared in front of everyone. The sudden scene shocked everyone. Suddenly, a group of soldiers who originally aimed their weapons at Miss 2B turned their direction in horror and aimed at the monster that suddenly appeared. The rapid change of position is admirable. Looking at General Ross, who suddenly turned into a red giant in front of him, Miss Roushi 2B's face also showed an unexpected color. He remembered the green medicine needle that General Ross had just pierced into his chest, as if it had fallen from the abomination. She was in a hurry to kill Abomination at the time, so she ignored what fell from him. Now I didn't expect to be accidentally picked up by General Ross and injected into his body by him. It seems that this thing should be the Hulk serum in the mouth of the young master. A scene suddenly appeared, which also surprised Locke at Rockefeller Hills. Red Giant? Because of my participation, did General Ross become the Red Giant earlier? From this point of view, there must be a lot of system points that I can get today. It's getting more and more interesting. Instead of worrying, Locke said with joy. Others may not know what the red monster that General Ross turned into is called. But as a transmigrator, Locke is very clear. This is the transformed form of General Thunderbolt, the Red Hulk, also known as the Red Hulk. The image is very similar to Hulk, except that Hulk is green and he is red. In addition, Red Hulk, like hate, does not have the ability of Hulk to become stronger due to anger, nor can he change back to human form. But even so, the Red Hulk in front of him is an existence that is not weaker than hatred at all. But how can this be? Not to mention not weaker than hatred, even if he is stronger than the Hulk who produced the Hulk serum, he doesn't care. Because he has absolute confidence in Miss 2B, whom he has transformed. In front of Miss 2B, they only have to be hanged and beaten. It's the same whether it's hateful or Red Hulk, or Hulk that doesn't hang. The previous battle has proved it, so naturally he will not take it to heart for the sudden appearance of Red Hulk. Is this the effect of Hulk serum? It's a powerful feeling. My injuries have already healed. No lie, Kaianzhao incredible. Feeling the change in his body, a sneer appeared on Hong Hulk's face. His eyes quickly moved to Miss 2B's body. I'm going to kill you, General Ross said murderously. Thinking of the scene of being humiliated by this woman just now, and looking at the wound he had just healed, a monstrous anger erupted in his heart. I was almost killed by this hateful woman in front of me. This hatred is inexorable, and now no matter who is standing behind her, he will kill him. Hearing what Hong Hulk said, a sneer appeared on Miss 2B's face. Is this floating? 55. It seems that you still haven't figured out your own position. Recognize the situation. As Miss 2B spoke, she slowly raised her long sword. But it doesn't matter, Deadman. There's no need to figure it out either. The The voice fell, and the figure of Miss 2B disappeared immediately. However, at that moment, Natasha Romanoff's face on one side was mixed with a touch of complexity in addition to the horrified color. Because when this terrifying woman crossed his side in front of him, her buttocks were slapped heavily, her strength was moderate, and it was almost the same as what the guy used back then. For a time, he suspected that Miss 2B in front of him was the damn little bastard. Damn, can even this be the same? Ask for some data, thank you. Reward report comments. Chapter 79. Is the tattoo on your lower back still there? How are you? Subscribe. Miss 2B's movement speed has reached the point where it is difficult to see with the naked eye. In the blink of an eye, he was in front of Hong Hulk, and the long sword in his hand turned into a silver beam that became bigger and bigger in General Ross's eyes. However, what surprised 2B was that at this moment, he saw Red Hulk stomping on the ground with his big feet, and the whole concrete floor stood upright, blocking him in front of him, trying to block Miss 2B's attack. Seeing such a scene, Miss 2B was full of disdain and did not stop at all. The long sword, as always, easily pierced the slate. The sky-defying power continued to surge forward, and the entire stone slab smashed heavily on Hong Hulk's body, with the tip of the sword like a spear hitting Hong Hulk's body heavily puff tilde. The tough red muscles were punctured instantly, blood spurted out, and under the heavy blow of the slate, Red Hulk's body flew upside down and smashed under the ruins. Miss 2B stood there, blood dripping from the tip of the sword. The cold and ruthless long sword, and the graceful figure of a Yuo, outlines a beautiful and desolate picture of a lady picking a sword. You have made progress than the first two, and you know how to use foreign objects to resist, but you are still too weak. It's boring, he said lightly, his fingers as slender as green onions clenched and twisted. The sword sounded, and the figure disappeared. When Miss 2B appeared again, she was already over the Red Hulk, and then fell fiercely. Gothic-style black high-heeled shoes, with their mighty power, stomped through the slate pressing on Red Hulk during Roar's whistling, and smashed heavily on Red Hulk's abdomen. PFFT tilde wow tilde blood and screams appeared at the same time. I saw that Hong Hulk, who had just said that he was going to kill Miss 2B, was now lying in the rubble like a dead dog. There was more air in and out less, and the body obviously suffered heavy damage. No hesitation, no respite for Red Hulk. The 603 long sword in his hand turned into an afterimage and slid across Red Hulk's neck, doing what he had to do for a long time. As the long sword slid across, the newly transformed Red Hulk received the lunch. It takes less than a minute to transform from the beginning to the end of the dog leash. The speed was so fast that the surrounding group of witnesses were dumbfounded and terrified. Miss 2B, who was in the ruins, raised her originally lowered head slightly, revealing her slender and white neck. The breeze is blowing, the hair is flying, and under the moonlight, it is like a silver-haired witch, and it is beautiful. The beautiful face with coldness turned slightly, and his eyes looked at the group of soldiers, as if afraid that Miss 2B's long sword would also point at them, so Kai lowered her head and did not dare to look at her. The attitude is obvious, they are cowardly. Seeing this, Miss 2B had a disdainful smile on her face. Then, with sexy and enchanting steps, he walked leisurely in front of Natasha Romanoff. Now you can explain, if you think it is necessary. Hearing Miss 2B's words, a wry smile appeared on Natasha Romanoff's face. Her original purpose was to prevent this woman from clashing with the military represented by General Ross. And now that General Ross is dead, what she wants to say is meaningless. But although it doesn't make sense, the words still have to be brought to the fore. General Ross didn't know you were from Locke, that's why he dared to do that. So, if I'm not from Master Locke, I deserve it when he treats me like this. Miss 2B sneered. I didn't mean that, I just wanted to tell you that this was General Ross' personal behavior. Not the military. The military is not the enemy of the Rockefellers, nor is SHIELD. Natasha Romanoff hesitation, and finally back decided to add an SHIELD at the end. As the 8th level agent of SHIELD, how high-spirited she was before, and she would make fun of anyone who was unhappy now what? She felt like she was the leader of the SHIELD apology team. During this period of time, I was either apologizing and admitting counsel or on the way of apologizing and admitting counsel. This feeling is simple. Hearing Natasha Romanoff's words, Miss 2B looked at her with a half-smile. Whether it is an enemy or not, it's useless to just talk about it. We will judge for ourselves. But today, for the sake of your SHIELD's good attitude, the rest of these shrimp soldiers and crab generals, I can stay still, even if I give you a face. After all, Miss 2B put away the long sword in her hand and let it continue to float behind her. Give me face. Natasha Romanoff was stunned when she heard Miss 2B's words. She didn't expect the woman in front of her to say such a thing. What is he worth compared to the entire military and SHIELD? The woman in front of him would actually be willing to sell herself a face, which seemed unbelievable to him. At this moment, the woman suddenly walked to her side and put her mouth to her ear. By the way, young master, let me ask you, is the tattoo on your lower back still there? Miss 2B's soft voice sounded like thunder in Natasha Romanoff's ears. Immediately, Natasha Romanoff froze in place, feeling overwhelmed. She never imagined that he would tell his subordinates about her private affairs with that little bastard. For a while, she didn't know how to answer at all, and her face flushed red. Giggle, don't say anything, just keep it. It seems that the commander's sister is right. You are so wild. You are really a special woman, like your sister. You like that kind of tune. It's interesting. Hope you have a day of cooperation! 5 After all, I can't wait for Natasha Romanoff to respond to what the cooperation in Miss 2B's mouth means. Miss 2B jumped and flew straight into the sky, disappearing without a trace. Looking at the back of Miss 2B, who disappeared in the blink of an eye, Natasha Romanoff clenched her fists and looked like she was gnashing her teeth. That little bastard clearly promised me that as long as he came out, he would keep it a secret for me. He actually breached the contract, and I'm going to kill you. Imperial University. In a badly damaged laboratory, a man in a lab coat fell to the ground. There is a long wound on his forehead. At this moment, a green liquid dripped from the experiment and flowed into the wound on the man's forehead. With the inflow of green liquid, the man's head began to twist violently and then swelled at a speed visible to the naked eye. In an instant, his head became as big as a basketball. A wicked smile appeared on his face, looking very strange. At this moment, a Dada footsteps approached slowly from outside. Who? The man frowned and looked out the door. Dr. Stern, we meet again. A pleasant voice sounded. Suddenly, a woman wearing a black Gothic cloak appeared in front of him. This woman is none other than a female student named Tubai who entered his classroom as an auditor a few days ago. Tubai is just the name of Miss 2B's Dragon Kingdom. That's right, the woman who appears in front of Dr. Stern at this moment is not Miss 2B. Who else could it be? After getting rid of Red Hulk, she started her second mission of the day. This task is simpler than the previous one. Find the Hulk serum, bring it back to Dr. Stern, and that's it. Because of its simplicity, Miss 2B will do this task last. Seeing Miss 2B in front of her, Dr. Stern's face showed a hint of surprise. At this point in time, my own female student should not appear here. Now that she has appeared, it can only show that this woman is not ordinary. His eyes swept across Miss 2B's body, and the strengthened brain started to work quickly. With a long sword on his back, there are filaments of blood on the edge of the sword, mud under his feet. His clothes are also stained with mud, and his body is also accompanied by a faint smell of blood. This is obviously the appearance of the fierce battle just ended, combined with the terrifying sound of explosions that I heard outside. It is likely that this woman was one of the participants, as his heightened sense of smell picked up a tinge of Hulk and abomination on the woman's body. And now the fighting outside has stopped, and then this woman appeared in front of him. Combining all the information together, his brain that had been strengthened immediately analyzed the general situation. Immediately, a terrifying conclusion appeared in his heart, and the woman in front of him was probably a more terrifying existence than Hate and Hulk. As for whether it is or not, it remains for him to continue to investigate further. Immediately, a powerful spiritual force spread out from his body and then enveloped Miss 2B in front of him. But what he didn't expect was that he couldn't sense anything. You must know that his brain has been strengthened to the extreme. He has mental power unimaginable to ordinary people, and he can temporarily invade other people's brains. But at this moment, he can't feel anything about this woman, which is unbelievable. Before he could figure out what was going on, the woman in front of him smiled coldly. Immediately, the figure flashed out, grabbed his neck at an unimaginable speed, and pressed it against the wall behind him. The terrifying impact cracked the wall behind him. Although he has been strengthened by Hulk serum, but what he strengthens is his own brain, and the strength of his physical body is no different from that of ordinary people. At most it is a little stronger. How could he bear the collision with Sister 2B? And a mouthful of blood immediately flowed from the corner of his mouth. The brain is as big as a basketball. The intelligence is extremely high, even 1,000 times higher than that of ordinary people, and with the telepathy ability, the description of you by the young master is really not bad at all. But there is one more thing I need to add to you, and that is life and death. Take care of your spiritual power, and next time, I will send you directly to hell. Miss 2B pinched Dr. Stern's neck and said coldly, I know. Doctor. Stern looked at the woman in front of him with a terrified expression, his body trembling, obviously frightened. The woman in front of him was, as he had analyzed, a more terrifying existence than Hulk and Hatred. It's just why his telepathy ability fails. He really doesn't understand. He knew there that Miss 2B in front of her was not a real human being. Rather, it is a general-purpose combat robot. In this way, his telepathy ability is naturally invalid. After being put down by 2B, Dr. Sten gasped in fear, looking at Miss 2B with fearful eyes. The woman in front of her is definitely not something she can offend. At least not yet. It's just the real identity of this woman. Who is it? A huge question popped up in his mind. Ask for data. Reward report comments. Alright legends, that's it for today. If you're ready for the next chapter, smash that like button and flood the comments right now. Remember, we've got 3 days to prove this story needs to continue. Subscribe so you don't miss the drop, and I'll meet you in the next audiobook.